Wait, I did live yesterday. Well, that's been a long time. Some people don't make it a whole day. Every day, someone dies, and whenever you do die, it'll be in one day. You can't die in 2 days. So therefore, one day, might as well be a trick. What is going on? This person's rocking out. This guy's walking around with a big speaker. He's playing some really kinky music though. It's kind of weird. This is like fucking music. He's walking around with a massive speaker, but he's playing fucking music. It's like, yeah, I can fuck you good. Some woman speaking I can fuck you good, daddy. What the fuck is this? You can't walk around town with that kind of music. You know what I'm saying though? You know, just waiting for the best chair in the lounge. Being 41 years old, and I count the womb, right? How's that hair, Gio? I got you by a decade, more than a decade, right? Bro, my hair is dynamic, bro. Gonna let these fucking haters hate. 41 years old, 42 with the womb. Eat prunes, filter your water, limit your alcohol, barely or totally cut out soda, or barely have it. Make it a treat once or twice a month with Chinese food. I get that, but it's on any kind of regular basis, bro. It's toxic. It's toxic. Can't stress that enough. Do some type of exercise, walking, rope pulling, some push-ups, some basic shit, man. You get older, you can't. Well, you get old faster when you start living old. Can't be living old. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. And that's it. Haters are gonna hate. Anyways, I hope you're doing well. We got an Ashton, a large Ashton, the largest Ashton. Is it the largest Ashton? I think it is. Excuse me, I'm throwing out all my garbage, consolidating, and here we are. I don't know if anyone's here. Is no one in the lounge? Oh, is this place dead? Who's this? I don't know. Are you a scammer? Are you a scammer? The scammers scare me. I got a big cigar. I was about to say I have a big dick, but everyone knows I have a big dick. Not everyone, but if you watch this show, I talk about it. It is what it is. This is a large cigar. This is the Spellbound. And is there? It just says Spellbound. I don't got a size. Who's to say? I just want to say hi. Yeah. Yeah, bro, this is a cigar channel. This is a cigar channel with locker room talk where we talk about our dicks. This is a guy's place. This is like a men's locker room. This is romper room. This is like an intergalactic gladiator. It's nonsense. It means nothing, but it means everything. It's crazy. Yeah, you know. Who are these people? Who are these people? Bam, you're gone. This is a cigar channel for adults. Yeah, nobody cares about saying hello. Bam, bye. This is a cigar channel for adults, where guys make jokes about everything, about ridiculous things. We got Caleb OG. Caleb's the original bot. Yeah, yeah. Cock, 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 cock. Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. This is an adult channel. Like when you go to a rated R movie and somebody says bullshit, or somebody says, "Hey, suck my dick, bitch." It is what it is. It is what it is. You went to a movie. This is not for children. This is not Sunday school. This is playtime for grown-ups where we joke around. Okay? Having a drink, having a cigar, having both. Now clearly I'm not drinking alcohol because I am technically operating a motor vehicle. If you're in the front and you possess the keys, you are operating a motor vehicle. If you're in the back, it wouldn't be a good idea to be still consuming alcohol. Now, if you already were drunk and sitting in the back, it's better odds. But you don't want to be in the vehicle and still drinking. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, PG, what's up, brother? I gotta admit, man, this is a big cigar. Could I get a size check? Is this a 7 by 54 box press? It might be 7 by 56. This might be 7.5. Could I get a blend check? I know the blend. It's Ecuadorian sun grown. It's a very dark, thick but smooth wrapper, and the rest of it is high end Fuente Dominican fillers and binders. But can I get a size check on the Spellbound? Does anybody? I've only smoked the Spellbound I think twice in my whole life. I smoked the VSG a lot. The Spellbound you don't find it as much, you know. And being that it's so beautiful out, here you go. There we go. It's so nice. Okay, baby. Jeremy, that was good, buddy. I appreciate that. Well, very nice in the cold draw. It has a nice smell. Has a nice smell that gets pungently later on. Like it lingers, but it doesn't have like the Opus X that kind of funkiness. But it's very nice though. 7.5 by 54 box press. I really thought it was 56. This is a big cigar. What a beautiful velvety, oily wrapper. Blend check. Blend check. How's your balls? Blend check. How's your balls? Blend check. Blend check. Oh wow. The aromatics on that are fantastic. Wow, here we go. Remember to rotate the cigar. Remember to rotate that cigar. Oh, it's already magical. Oh yeah. Now remember, now remember, um, if you want the most potent version of any cigar, you go with the smaller, skinnier gauge. Um, but with the bigger gauge, you're gonna get more time and relax. It's kind of like women. If you want the hottest woman, you go for like the skinniest, the most tight. You know what I'm talking about. But you're gonna get less time with it. The skinnier, the hotter the woman, the less time you're gonna get with it. It's gonna be fun, potent, but you're not gonna get that much time. But when you go with a big fat cigar, so if you go with kind of a little hefty woman, not everyone's looking at it, and you're gonna get more time. This is $20 PA. There's no deals on Ashton products. Ashton products. Um, there's no Ashton products. Well, the VSG is coming in at pretty much the same price point as the Padron 26. Um, but obviously depending on the size, right? There there is actually small VSGs. They actually had Jeremy, they had an Ashton VSG that was in the work of art size. And honestly, I should have tried that. I have never smoked the Ashton VSG work of art. And that was like $17 Pennsylvania. This is 20 though. So pound for pound, you're getting the most value here, being tremendous cigar. You're gonna get a lot of time. How about a nice solid medium plus? I'm around 70 to 75% darkness. I am getting beautiful flavor. Beautiful, really light milk chocolate. I mean light, like not light in flavor, but not dark at all. Beautiful, silky milk chocolate. Beautiful, very nice. A nice amount of reserved spicy black pepper. It's not like crazy amount, but it's just enough, like sparkling. Guys, this is top shelf. The Ashton VSG is as good as it gets in a sense of, you know, you get past that, you're like, how much more can you enjoy a cigar? You got VSG, stuff like Opus X, Anejos. How much more do you want out of a cigar? Like, you really, at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, like, how much more could you want out of tobacco? How much more could you want out of a blend? The VSG is way more beautiful than a Padron 26. The Padron 26 though is going to have more power. The Padron 26 is going to have more spice, way more earth. So the Padron 26 is going to be more exciting, bullfight. So the point is, and I love Padron 26. I have so many years with it, Maduro. Of lately, though, even though it went bad, and then past few months they seem like they're still good, but it's not. It's not what it used to be. They're still enjoyable, but I'm telling you, something happened with Padron where I don't know if they just go into a bad cycle. Sounds like a woman on a period, or a bad, a bad crop. You guys keep talking about this ESG. I've had the ESG. It was great. But here's the thing: there's reviewing. Like in the actual moment, I could give a cigar a great review and enjoy it. But did I go? But did I go back? Did I go back? Do you see the difference? They had the ESG there, and the ESG there was $29. It might have been like somewhere between Robusto and Toro. Now I got this VSG for $20, tremendous, 7.5 by 54. And if I want to go with a Toro VSG, it would have been like $15, maybe 16. So you understand what I'm saying. So like at a certain point, the higher cost, even if it's the other cigar, let's say the ESG is better, right? Even though it's not as dark as this or strong, um, let's just say it's better. Is it 60% higher cost better? And that's where, like, are you just smoking for the cigar, or are you smoking comparing to the brand? Are you smoking comparing to the competition? You understand there's so many factors to shit. Yo, what's up, bro?
Sorry about that, Richie. Had some technical difficulties.
Bro, there was some bots in the beginning, which I wasn't talking to. I was just talking
Yeah.
about my 8-inch stick, and someone's like, "Oh my goodness," and they're like, "What's your name? Like, what? Will you report me to the police?" This is an adult cigar channel. It literally says it's not for children. So if I want to say cock, 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 fuck you, fuck this, it's freedom of speech.
hmm Check this out, dude. This is the Bellicoso,
Well, that's what I got in the background.
but yeah, VSG.
Look in the
But it's
background of my picture. That's the Bellicoso. You can't. It's cut off, but that's what
oh,
in
got
one.
you.
That's such bullshit. Oh, 23. It's like I only smoke 15 ranked or like say I only smoke the top 10 cigars. Like, give me a break, you know.
Uh, well, this is. I mean, I think this has been higher than 23, but I stored this without cellophane for years in an old VSG box, like a one from the 90s. So I'm hoping it'll be pretty good.
I'm at a heavy medium plus right there.
Yeah.
75% darkness. Spice is increasing. It's delicious. I'm a half inch in. It's quite a slow burning cigar. Um, I think when you look at the VSG
Mhm.
as a long term review, right?
Right.
Posterity, it's still viable. It still fucks. It it's still classy. Semi strong cigar. Strong for its time. You know, a lot of
Mhm.
flavor for its time. Um, and it's a Fuente product. Beautiful wrapper on the, even though it's not a Fuente wrapper. Um, um, and in so many sizes, and it's continually available, you know, for a higher end cigar that's, someone's smoking them, bro. Obviously, people smoke this shit.
Mhm.
Obviously, it doesn't have the buzz anymore, but I still think it has a lot of street cred. You know, it was one of the last cigars before the crazy Nicaraguan strong cigar boom. Where like where guys that like fuller, stronger cigars were talking about the VSG. But then, like when everyone started switching over to Padron and AJ and all this other stuff, VSG I think got left in the dust as far as that. Um, you know, the Diamond Crown Maximus clearly is a JC Newman, but Fuente, and that is an Ecuadorian wrapper, I believe, as well. And that's a younger. So if you want a more higher, if you want a lower than VSG, but like a high mid tier, go with a Diamond Crown Maximus. And I think the Maximus and the Fuente VSG are like similar, but it's just at two different tiers and different price points. So if you want to save some money, get the Diamond Crown Maximus, and it's a little more edgier because it's younger tobacco, but stronger because it's younger. And then if you want the classier, go with the VSG.
Is Maximus Sumatra?
I don't know the wrapper. I know it's Ecuadorian though.
I thought it was a Habano, but I could be wrong.
It
Um,
really could be, but it was Habano. Where Habano's bullshit. You're not getting Cuban tobacco, so it's
no,
Ecuadorian.
Ecuadorian Habano.
Yeah, what
That's
I'm
right. The
saying is the
Habano's pretty.
Ecuadorian wrapper though.
Yeah. Sorry, one second. Let me light this up real quick. Or, quick, quote unquote.
Bro, it's such a nice, pleasant sweetness on this cigar. But the difference is it's not as much like syrupy as like an Opus X or even like a Nejo. So it's and when I smell the foot, it has to be. I don't know what tobacco they're using to push this. Obviously, it's for the higher end Fuente stuff, but it's not the same. It's not the same tobacco as let's say Opus X because the foot smell doesn't have that Opus X foot smell.
Hmm. Um, I find that as when you get the smaller sizes, it gets more condensed, more coffee forward, and when you get the larger sizes, it gets more
More
beautiful,
sweet.
more chocolate forward. Yeah.
Honestly, like I love the Spellbound, man. This is my third time I think having in my life,
Hmm.
and even though he's not going to be as strong and spicy as like the Corona or Robusto, um, it's a great time, bro. It doesn't get washed out. It's not going to be as strong, it's quite pleasant in this size. This
Yeah.
big stupid size, 7.5 by 54, which is a massive Churchill box press. It's actually it's classy, man.
Yeah. I have the Sorcerer. I've smoked it in the Sorcerer. That's the largest size I've smoked. That's seven and something by 49, I think.
I
So I
was
think
gonna
it's
get that one. They
two
had that
double
one
corona.
too, and then
Yeah.
this was like I think like $1 or $2 more, and I was like, I'm gonna go for the
Biggest
biggest one. So this one
Nice.
that time.
I don't actually do not
No,
like
that might be
the
the best for flavor, balance between strength and beauty. But the 54, you're gonna get more beauty but less strength.
I don't like the Sorcerer, actually. That's my least favorite size that I've smoked. I've smoked the Bellicoso, the Corona Gorda, the Lonsdale, the Torpedo, and then that Sorcerer, the double Corona. I think that my favorite's actually the Torpedo, which is crazy because it's a huge torpedo, but it hits a perfect balance for me. I found the Sorcerer a little, not watered down per se, but maybe a little bit too beautiful leaning, a little too gentle
Dude, I
for
just
the
did
blend.
medium full right there. I'm an inch in, bro.
Nice.
Dude, I was holding the smoke for like 20 seconds. You're not even looking up.
Sorry, I'm trying to get it's a
What the
little
fuck are
windy.
you doing? You've been lighting the cigar for 3 minutes.
I was just trying to get it lit, man. It's almost lit. It's finally almost lit. Might be a little wet, but that's okay. I
You
think
stressing me.
I prefer to smoke a wet cigar than a dry cigar, I gotta say.
I disagree, but okay, cool.
Um, as far as the Maximus goes, I think that the Maximus, I was getting a different type of flavor profile from it. It has more of that type of fruitiness that's more reminiscent of the Opus or the Sosa Classic, which I think is now discontinued. But there's certain like fruitier, like dark fruitier Fuentes, which I wouldn't put this in that category.
No, you can't compare them exactly, but if you want 3/4 strength, generally around 3/4 darkness, but it's not Fuente, syrupy sweetness like Opus X. Like you get that literally like fucking charred wood and like the classic Opus flavor, and the smell. Um, the Maximus is in chronological order. If you want to save some money, go for a Maximus. I think it's a great high end mid tier cigar.
Yeah.
And it's strong for Fuente. It's not strong for like AJ, but it's strong for Fuente. So if you want to go for before the rare pink, the Maximus was really one of the strongest Fuentes. Um, so yeah, it's got that for it, and it's kind of affordable for what it is. Um, because JC Newmans have like no buzz, no gouge, like nobody cares about the Maximus. I think it's a good cigar. I'm just saying, but it's not like somebody calls a lounge like, "Yo, you got Maximus?" Like nobody cares. Nobody fucking
Yeah.
cares.
Yeah, I think people care about the Maximus very little, even less than the Diamond Crown, weirdly. I don't think the Maximus is a great cigar, but it's a very pleasant cigar. I like it.
It's funny you have Pleasant because that's the strongest Fuente for a long time. So I don't know, maybe with your micro puffing, you're having different experiences. Plus,
Yeah.
you smoke cigars, you're saying in your environment with the micro puffing and the way you store your cigars, you're saying you prefer them wet. Wetter cigars are going to be, how do you say, burning slower, and you might
Yeah.
be perception might be different. I like to
Hmm.
shed some moisture on my cigar before I smoke it, so my cigar is going to burn hotter and be stronger. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
No. So in a
Yeah.
way, like you're cooling them down, in a sense. So, um, we and you are on opposite extremes,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But we
Um,
agree. We agree on
mhm.
Chocho.
Well, I'll tell you what we 100% agree on is that the VSG is a great blend that continues to
Yeah,
endure.
that's a neutral spot. Like a lot of those
Hmm.
times, I get pissed off at you. But there's sometimes like, well, how do we agree on this so easy? And you know, like for example, like Red Dot, you hate, and that really bothers me. But the VSG, we both know, is phenomenal.
I mean, yeah, it's just I don't think that the VSG is on the same level as Red Dot. Frankly, I think that the VSG is one of the best. Period. You know, I think it's an exceptionally smooth, flavorful, dark cigar with a beautiful blend. I think if you, I'll put it like this. I think that people found like a style of dark cigar with the Tabernacle, Micarita, Liga 9, that area. You
You're
could even
going
say the
all,
Pro
yeah, you're talking
Magnum.
all broadly for Mexican San Andreas. And
Right. And then you have this type of dark cigar, which is more beautiful or flavorful. And I think when you think of that type of dark cigar, I don't know if there's a cigar that's doing that better than the VSG. I'll say
well, I
that.
think society shifted. I think 20 years ago, this was guys that wanted stronger. This is where it's at, because it was still classy. Um, where you guys now like they want like Steve Stock is like you said, the Mercure Black or his other cigars he's
Yeah.
making, or these tabernacles, which are in a sense are more streamlined, stronger, darker versions of the Liga number 9. Which even then, so Liga number
Right.
9, so Liga number
Right.
9 came in darker, stronger than Ashton VSG,
Right.
and then later on you're gonna have companies like AJ or Osaka or Foundation, which is AJ, right?
Hmm.
Making stronger, darker stuff. So I think as our society becomes more violent and colder, our cigars become more stronger
I don't know if
because
you
we
can
we,
see
we,
this.
we,
Oh,
we become
yeah.
we become numb to survive. Does that make
Can
any
you?
sense?
Is this coming through? I want to see if this can be seen. This is one of the most beautiful wrappers I've ever seen on a cigar. It's probably not coming through.
Not enough
It's just,
light, but it looks
yeah,
nice.
too bad. Um, I'm blown away by this. I don't think I would ever smoke.
No, it's flawless, bro. I'm looking
Yeah.
at it, bro. Like the wrapper grade,
Hmm.
the wrapper grade is flawless, man. There's no you can say what you want about the VSG, like, oh, it's not strong enough. Yeah, okay, it was strong for its time. It's like watching a movie from the '80s and going, oh, it wasn't realistic. It was realistic for its time because the '80s were fucking crazy. Everyone's on cocaine, so like Rambo seemed realistic. It wasn't John Wick. You know what I'm saying though? Oh, he never ran out of ammo. Well, nobody ran out of ammo in the '80s. Ammo was cheap and nobody cared. You know what I'm saying? That was a different
Yeah.
time. So yeah, but at the same time, like, does the VSG still hold up? Yeah, in a way, it's a classic now. It's over 20 years. What's up, Dream
The
Life?
the so I would say this cigar is a little less strong than the Bolivar, the Cuban Bolivar, which is a classic cigar. What I'm driving at is I think you have certain things that work, right? When you have classic, you have a flavor profile that works or something that works. And
It
that's not
stood
about
to become a classic. That means it stood the test of time, which
mhm,
means this. Okay, here's the difference between a great cigar and a real great cigar. You know what the difference is? A great cigar is, wow, I love smoking that. A real great cigar is you're gonna keep smoking it. And the
yeah.
VSG, people kept smoking. So that's it's reusable. If a cigar is not reusable, it's not gonna stand the test of time. Opus X, reusable. Padron 26 Maduro, reusable. Now, reusable doesn't mean strong or weak or cheap or expensive. It's just there's something about it where it connects with more people than it disconnects. And the VSG, it connects with people,
So
right?
I want to make an argument. First of all, I just want to say I'm getting this incredible luscious wood note out of this and this black pepper and but the black pepper is smooth and flavorful and there's these undertones I can't even describe, but it's so full and lush and delicious. This cigar uh
The more you
continues
hold the
to
smoke, like
continues to
when
blow my mind.
I
Hmm.
squeeze down the smoke,
Hmm.
it's like the smoke is like no Diddy. Like the smoke is exploding in
Oh
my
my god,
mouth. Peace be upon Diddy.
bro, it's so creamy,
Yeah,
it's so woody, it's so lush and but sweet and little undertones of that
yeah.
Fuente sweetness. This is
Yeah,
just
it's like Fuente's pouring his sweetness down your mouth. No, no, Diddy, peace be upon Fuente.
I can't believe how good this cigar. So the other thing about this one is, like I said, I aged it, not aged, but 3 years, whatever, in a like an old school VSG box. No cellophane with all other VSGs. So this is like the best
Do you
case
normally
scenario for a
like
cigar
get to
like
know
this.
the person before you go no cello, or you go raw dog right away?
In that regard, I don't know. I don't think I even smoke cigars, Richie. I don't even smoke.
Okay. Do you wear cellophane when smoking by yourself? That's a
um,
whole nother vibe, man.
yeah,
Dudes that like jerk off wearing a Jimmy, but then again, like maybe he's
that's
just less.
crazy.
Well, maybe it's less of a mess. You know, like let's say if you're doing that on your bed, right? You don't want to blow your load everywhere.
I can't even comment on this. It's such a beautiful, delicious cigar, man. Listen, this is one of the best sizes and known to be one of the best sizes, right? The Bellicoso.
Yeah.
I've been saving this for a long time and aging it in that certain way with the original box, and it's even better, man. I love that torpedo so much. I think this is even better than the torpedo. This is getting up into the range where I don't know if I'd smoke an Opus over this, man. But maybe once you age Opus, it gets even better. But it gets so uh like a Cuban. It has that smoothness, that lusciousness to the smoke that I just do not find most of the time.
It's got a lot of balance. It's got a lot
Hmm.
of harmony.
Hmm.
It's not just about the clarity of the notes or the type of notes, and none of the notes are trying to take over. Like they're all there doing their thing. But I'm getting nice cedar, believe it or not, nice charred wood on top of that,
Yeah.
nice
Yep.
amount of
Yep.
black pepper, a
Yeah.
nice, sweet, milky, creamy piece upon Fuente and Diddy. No homo. It's great. It's great. Nuttiness as well. No Diddy. It's the flavor on the tongue. No Diddy. Peace be upon Diddy. Um, it's just phenomenal, bro. Like when you push your tongue to the top of your teeth
Hmm.
and you squeeze down. No Diddy. Peace be upon Diddy.
Hmm.
The flavor is so much there. You know what I'm saying though?
I'm getting undertones of maybe like a coffee bean. There's sweet undertones, but it's so rich and it merges into one flavor. Um,
Yeah, it's called happiness, man. Dude, this cigar makes me happy. I love the VSG,
yeah,
bro.
me too,
There's
man.
nothing, and with the smoke, you could tell, man, this thing was well aged tobacco, and then a well aged cigar from the factory. Because I just bought one today, fresh out. It might have been in the shop a few months, but it's ready to be smoked out the factory. Zero harshness. Like the VSG is a world class top shelf cigar. Um, that has no gouge on it. So if you
Hmm.
go online, if you're getting Robustos for like $15 a stick, guys, it's a top shelf cigar that if you I don't know why you wouldn't love it, but if you can learn to appreciate it, meaning guys might go, well, it's not as strong as the Padron 26. Okay, that's a Nicaraguan cigar, and that came from years later. The VSG, man, it's a class act, but it's got a lot of flavor, man. And I'll tell you what, tonight after this, you know what kind of
Hmm.
sleep I'm gonna get after
Hmm.
this tremendous VSG. When you smoke high end Fuente, bro, you have the best dreams of your life. I'm being dead serious. Best dreams.
Sacco is messing around and asked if the cigar is box worthy.
Hmm.
If this cigar is not box worthy, there's no non-Cuban cigar that's box worthy. This
Sacco
is more
also
box
said
worthy than
something
any of them.
important, though. He said
Uh-huh.
quality soaps and 3 showers. He
Okay.
also says if the chocha smells like seafood, don't eat it.
Mm.
I didn't know that.
Hmm. Um, you were talking about classic. What does classic mean? I think classic, you're hitting on something that is fundamental to the medium in which you're creating the product. Meaning, I think the Bolivar is a classic cigar. I think this is almost like the non-Cuban equivalent in a way to the classic Bolivar. And I think that you get in that range, there's something that's special that happens for a cigar. Similarly, you might say once you get into the range of like the Micarita Liga 9, there's something special going on, right? That creates a product that sticks in your mind, and then
Mhm.
people work in that sort of area. So I think it's it's in one of those iconic areas for a cigar, and I think out of what I've smoked with
I'm
non-Cubans,
back.
this
I'm
might be
back.
the best one. Um, Although you could argue that the Opus is kind of in a similar area because it's dark, but it is a lot more tropical, a lot more mysterious. This is a
Yeah,
lot more smooth and elegant.
Opus is a more fun cigar, a
Mhm.
more mysterious cigar.
Mhm.
I don't like to compare them though. They're both high end cigars. Obviously, the Opus has more. You could say following, more of an open following. But the guys that like VSG, like they're not advertising it, but like
Mhm.
nobody disrespects the VSG. Like, bro, like people smoke the VSG,
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm.
Um, I think this is better than the Liga 9 area for me personally. And I think
It's
actually
more
in general.
pleasant than Liga Number Nine. Um,
What I mean is Tabernacle, Micarita, Liga Number 9, that whole circle of cigars, I think that's getting too dark compared to this. I think you're able to get more out of it. You see what I'm saying?
I agree with you, but if you decide to throw it in there, you can hang
Mhm.
out with those cigars. It would be the most classiest.
Mhm.
Now, so if you go in Liga and Tabernacle, Broadleaf, and VSG and throw in the Anejo, now that's a different ballpark because I think the VSG and the Anejo, even though not the same blends,
Mm.
there's a lot of similar as far as price points,
Mhm.
um, and a lot of similar as far as similar strength because the Anejo is kind of a
Mhm.
reserved dark cigar,
Mhm.
um, and I think I love them both equally. I've smoked more Anejo. That's because I'm sorry, I smoked more VSG because the
Mhm.
Anejo is not as easy to find as the VSG.
Mhm.
At the same time, I never feel when I smoke a VSG, it's lower tier than Anejo, and I love the Anejo.
Mhm.
I honestly just love them. I don't like to say between the Anejo and VSG. I'll be honest, like they're both right there, like a 4.75, like I'm dude, like whatever, man. Like fucking if someone's like your last cigar, what do you want? An Ajo or VSG? Like I don't take the pick one. I don't get I'm okay. Like you know what I'm saying? No, I'm never gonna have a bad time with an Ajo, and I'm never gonna have a bad time with a VSG.
Mhm.
They're both class acts. They both build up, no matter what size you get, they
Right.
build up in strength and they have a lot of character. Um, I think the VSG is probably the more complex cigar because it doesn't go as dark.
Mhm.
But obviously, the VSG, the Anejo, you're gonna get more char. That real nice charred Fuente
Mhm.
wood, really a lot more like almost like a barrel. Um, it depends on my mood, bro. But the VSG and Anejo, those are high end top shelf cigars that are available and they're not crazy priced. That if somebody said, "Oh, I want to smoke some good stuff," listen, bro, $20, maybe even less, depending where you're at, depending on the size. You could smoke a Robusto or Toro uh, VSG or Anejo and be happy for the rest of your fucking life.
Mhm.
You don't need anything better. Are there better cigars? Sure, a little better, but sometimes a little better might cost you a lot more money, though. You know what I'm saying, though? So if somebody was wanting to start buying boxes of cigars, go buy a box of Anejo and VSG. Honestly, like that covers a lot of bases. Maybe throw in a box of Padron 26 Maduro and unless you want to get into some Connecticut's, like you got a lot of bases covered with the Padron 26, a Liga number 9, a VSG, a Neho, you know, like I'm just saying, like those are great. These are world class box for these cigars,
So
all
I
of them.
think
You know,
I think that the VSG to a Neho comparison is more, I don't want to say fair, but it's a more direct comparison. I think the Liga 9 Micarita Tabernacle Pro Magnum, that area, I think that's sort of darker, stronger. It's going to a little bit of a different point, right?
and they're
Whereas
also a little less luxury in the sense more about power, and also
mm,
Nicaragua tobacco. So like no one's going to say that the Liga number 9 is smoother than a VSG, but no one's going to tell you a VSG is stronger than a fucking Liga number 9 or darker. So, it's like, you know, it's two
but
different kinds of parties,
I don't think I don't think pure strength. I think I mean for me, flavor is important for a cigar. Uh I think
Oh, the VSG has tons of flavor, but
smoothness
the
is
Liga is
important.
stronger, though.
Right,
Not
but
just because it's darker.
I don't think pure strength or pure darkness for me matters. Right? Like you can have a very
No, I'm
good
not
light.
talking about matters. That's a totally another topic. I'm just saying a lot of
Mhm.
guys just want cigars for strong. And that's been
Mhm.
in the past 10 years. More than that. Throw AJ's name on it, throw Nicaragua on it, and guys were fucking blowing their load. It's almost like this new street drug. I mean, as a society, we're doing cocaine. But then crack came out. Was crack better than cocaine? No, but it was cheaper and stronger. Crack was Nicaraguan cigars. Before that, people were doing Dominicans, cocaine, having a nice party. And then crack came out, and everyone's blowing out their chocha. You understand what I'm saying?
But I think that you have fads or you have
Ni-
fashion,
Nicaraguan
which
crack.
fades. But you have this stuff fades if you have guys like guys used to only smoke Candelas, right? Or guys would only smoke Connecticut's. Now they only smoke dark cigars. That doesn't make a cigar classic, right? Like we talk about sometimes. I'll smoke a cigar that you think is you like it because back in the day it worked for you, and I'll smoke it. I say I don't think it holds up now, and you say, well, you got to understand the history of it. But that to me, it doesn't matter as much. Um, Kandinsky talks about this in one of the books he wrote. Who and Kandinsky was a I guess I don't know what you say. He was a painter. I don't know what field he was in, abstract or impressionist or whatever. But he says that when you have art, art comes with information along signals along with the image itself. So what I mean is, if you see a picture and there are things that you recognize in the picture, you see a guy that you don't like in a picture, you draw that association.
If it was the 1700s, you see a painting, a woman in the 1700s, you're gonna go, those women are hot. But
Hmm.
if you're in 2025 and they're wearing those long dresses and holding an umbrella and a bonnet, you know, and you're gonna go,
Exactly.
who gives a shit? But if you're from that area, you're like, these were classy ladies, man. They would
E-
lift that skirt up and move the leg, and you're
e-
like, that you're not connecting to it, you know.
exactly. So the point is that the real
So in a
way
way,
to
a blend is a period piece.
no,
Now,
no,
some
no. So no, no, no. So the point is, you were
yeah.
right on, but the point is that as the real measure of art is when you go through time and everything has fallen away. See, they had a conception of that woman, we have a conception of that woman, but in 2000 years, in 4000 years, there may be no conception of that person. At that point, the true artistic merit comes out from that piece, meaning the color is important, the
It's
composition is
only
important.
true art when everyone that's been around it when you made it is dead, and people that weren't around it still love it.
Well, you could put it that way. I think that's a fair way to put it, but the way I would say is when the context of the art is no regardless of the context of the art, ignoring the context of the art, if it's still great, then it's great. And I think that when we're talking about
Well,
these
in some ways,
blends,
things become greater once everyone's dead. For example, Beethoven or Mozart. Like they didn't make a lot, or Mozart didn't make a lot of money, but after he died, his music became, 200 years later. You know what I'm saying? Though, so it's like,
the point of what Kandinsky's saying disagrees with you because it's not that it improves later because what you're doing is putting it into a new context. What he's saying is no context is the only situation where you can truly judge what you're looking at or smoking or whatever. You see what I'm saying?
I get that, but also I understand that concept of not having an angle. But most people have an angle in life. You know what I'm saying, though? And if even with people with angles still enjoy it, it stood the test of time. Because at the end of the
So,
day, what makes something anything valuable? There is no value. The value is people give a shit. Let me tell you something. I'm old enough to see things, example, baseball cards or other things, fucking these fucking stupid stuffed animals. When people give a shit, that gives it value because other people want to possess it. People that don't have it are willing to buy it. So once people stop giving a shit about anything, ready, it loses all value. All value. You could go down to any ghetto in New York City, and if you dropped off 100 muskets, nobody cares. Now, 300 years ago, those were viable options, and they knew how to use them. So do you see what I'm saying, though? So once people don't give a shit, it lost its value. You understand what I'm saying, though?
sure, and from a product perspective, that may be important. What I'm
Yeah.
trying to say is simply this, and Sako, maybe this answers your question. The only way to understand how good something is to take it without its context artistically. And so I think with a cigar, that also comes into play. I think the VSG, if I'm smoking this next to the Liga 9, as far as I'm concerned, they both came out yesterday, right? I think that the Liga 9 is darker and therefore has less wiggle room. I think it takes it to a point where you start to get too dark in a cigar and it starts to limit the cigar, right? I think
Also,
the
the Brazilian tobacco when it gives it a little uniqueness, but
mhm,
that's the one part I wish you could do without. But
hmm.
it works. But I like the part of the foundation without the Brazilian. At the same time, I still like the Liga over the foundation. So, but you understand what I'm saying, though. But I would prefer Connecticut broadleaf cigars without Brazilian tobacco. That's my
Let,
opinion.
let me say one more time for Uncle Larry. I'm going to try to say this as clearly as possible. Whenever we evaluate something artistically or with taste, like with cigars, people have preconception, they have ideas that they bring to it from their culture, their experience, or whatever. But the only way to really judge it is to leave all those things behind and leave them aside and judge it on the basic merits. I don't know if that's even layman's terms, but basically to judge it without any
I
other
think what they're trying to say
information.
is they want news and cock jokes.
Oh no, he said that it looks like that worked for him, so that's good.
Yeah.
Um,
No, dude,
so
I get what you say, bro. I enjoy when you come on because sometimes we go into real deep conversations, and
for sure, yeah,
it's good for Richie because, look, dude, trying to you know who's the number one guest on the Richie show?
Richie.
Richie. So like I got to come on air every night. I don't have to, but I do. And dude, there's times I'm doing 2 hour episodes by myself.
Hmm.
So doing it by yourself and like making yourself, I make myself laugh and then other people laugh. I'm not trying to make people laugh. Like I'm talking about shit that makes me laugh and then whatever. It's difficult, but
Yeah,
at the same time, it is what it is, you know?
I'm
So
getting.
it's
Okay,
yeah.
sorry. I'm getting velvety vanilla and charred wood. It's such a beautiful, rich, packed cigar. Um, but what I'm trying to express with this cigar is, I
Dude, I'm
think
getting a
that.
razor sharp burn. I mean,
Hmm.
let's get look at that. Look at that thing,
Mm,
man.
hmm.
Bro, look at that thing, bro. Bro, it's like one of those movies, bro. Like, whoa, bro,
Oh yeah,
fucking, bro. The Ashton VSG, bro, is a class act. I would say the cigar is elegant. I would say it's
absolutely,
elegant. You know,
absolutely.
which for a stronger cigar, dude, it's just awesome, man. I don't understand why anyone wouldn't like the VSG. You know, what I'm saying it's a great cigar.
I agree. Well, I think if you're new, it's going to be a little strong, right? What's that? Let me turn it on.
I'm getting very nice nuttiness, milk chocolate, a lively black pepper, some cedar and charred wood, but all the flavor
Hmm.
together is harmonious. Um, I would say the VSG in some ways reminds me of Davidoff as far as what like how harmonious a Davidoff can be.
Hmm.
Um, um, you know what I'm saying though? It's very nice, and the finish is it's hanging out, but the finish is not as heavy as the Opus X. The Opus X finish is really glaring. Now my finish is
Hmm.
there. It's very nice, but it's not as heavy or strong as like Opus X or the Añejo finish.
I
Um,
love, I love that this cigar is so rich and complete. Right, the flavor profile is is wall to wall, and there's no gaps in it, and it's not watered down at all. At least in this size, very rich. And I think.
no, dude, it's not. Even though it's not, mine's not as potent as if I was smoking a
Hmm.
Robusto. I am at a nice light medium full, so
Hmm.
it's like about 70% strength. So like it's nice though, dude. And I'm growing the ash. If I drop the ash, you'll probably pick up a little bit. I just enjoy
Hmm.
the ash on this, bro. I think the VSG has some of the best ash in the business,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I've smoked the whole Spellbound and a Sorcerer ash to the nub, and
Yeah,
I posted before. I'm not doing that tonight, but it's just if as long as you take out the part, it's not the darkest or strongest cigar in the world.
right.
Just fuck that. We're not doing that. It's not a weak cigar at all either, though. And it's not a light cigar, and so it's just a great fucking cigar. Forget about these. I can't stand modern cigar smokers going, but they just want to get their chocha blown out. They just got to have the strongest, most intense, raw power. Like, and those are okay once in a while, but like, I think some guys just like getting fisted. Like, I think guys like our society's so fucked. I think guys enjoy cigars that are fucking them. Like, you know what I'm saying though? Like kicking them in the balls. This was a classier time, bro. When this came out, it was better for the middle class. If you had a job, you had a place to live. When this came out, let's say 20 years ago or more, like, bro, like things were better. So I think the drugs got harder. Look at fentanyl. Like fentanyl and like AJ Fernandez go hand in hand. The cigars got crazy. The IPAs, guys drinking 12% IPAs and fucking and fentanyl and AJ Fernandez super strong Nicaraguan cigars all happen around the same time. I'm telling you, man. Fentanyl, IPAs, and fucking AJ Fernandez next at 10.
This is so beautiful. I'm getting little notes of coffee bean and cherry coming through a little bit brighter than the lush overall character. Um, I want to say I think I think you can definitely say you're a cigar connoisseur. I'd like to say I'm nearing that level, or I'm at that level. I don't think it's an extremely. I mean, it's possible I don't understand the field, but I don't think it's like such a deep. Uh, it's not such a high bar. Anyway, I digress. My point is, when you talk about guys who just want to get blown out, I don't
To
think that.
review cigars, you got to be self-aware of that moment. That yes,
Yeah.
you take things now to compare cigars. You remember the past, but
Hmm.
to review a cigar, you almost have to forget the past and just be totally in this moment. So when I
Hmm.
start reviewing a cigar, I'm only focusing on this cigar.
Hmm.
Then later on, I'll start comparing it to previous experiences. If you review a cigar and don't, or not in the moment, you're gonna go, and it's not as strong as this, or eh. So you got to give the cigar its fair shake. You know.
This cigar, it's a little wavy. This cigar is performing absolutely perfectly. This specific cigar, this specific Bellicoso is one of the best non-Cubans I've ever smoked ever. I mean, it's fucking unbelievable. Sorry, excuse my language. Um, Look, here's what I'm getting at is guys can have any sort of opinion, but it doesn't enter into really looking at the cigar critically. And I think when you look at a cigar critically, the point I was trying to drive at is I think a complete profile that is lush, that is smooth, could be powerful, but it's powerful in its smoothness, has a lot of flavor. I think those are the things that we look at.
Well,
And I
you know
think,
how you look at opinion. My show's been around for a long time. And I'm telling you this, more people agree with Richie's reviews than disagree. Now you so that's how you judge that. If every person every time I review a cigar, they're like, Richie, you're full of shit. That cigar sucks. Or Richie, you're full of shit. That cigar doesn't suck. Everyone
mhm,
knows it's great. So more people agree with me. So I know my reviews are on. Now I don't really worry about the people that are gonna disagree with me. Because maybe some they have a totally different opinion. Okay. And then some are just gonna be hecklers or just, complete, bullshit artist. You got guy, oh, I love Quorum cigars. So I'm not even gonna argue with that guy. So at the end of the day, this cigar is velvety. This cigar reminds me of like
yeah,
velvet, like chocolate cake, like just
yeah,
like an expensive cake. Like you're like, my God, like this, like you know what I'm saying? No, like this is just it's it's beautiful, man. Dude, I think it's more beautiful than a Neho because a Neho goes a little darker and stronger
yeah.
and more charred wood, and I think a little spicier. But I'm not saying Anejo is massively spicy. I'm just saying head to head. Head to head, if somebody said, "What's classier, Anejo or VSG?" What's darker though? The Anejo. And I love the Anejo. So, and what would I rather smoke? It depends on the mood. I love them both. I wouldn't want to see either of them being stopped being made.
One wonders what if there's a classier non-Cuban than this. I can't think of one.
Well, if you're talking about any price point or with under $20,
You know,
because you can't say Atabey because Atabey is approaching $50.
I
So
think it's classier than Atabey. I think it's classier than the Rabbit, which I might even prefer, but I don't think it's as classy as the cigar. I think
Well,
it's
and it's almost a third of the price of the Rabbit. So Rabbit's a great cigar, but this is
I th
available. You can get these for $15 to $17, bro.
you know what I think is a strangely classy cigar is the LG. Do you know what I'm talking about?
LG is a great cigar, man. LG's a great cigar, but LG's got some fucking power to it, bro.
Hmm.
LG's got power.
But I don't
But
think can't have power and be classy. I think it's
oh
about
no,
how you're
it's not like
presenting it,
it's not
right?
like LG is a dirty cigar at all. It's got a lot of age.
Right.
It's just using higher priming and stronger tobacco, in my opinion. It's just the way the LFD makes their cigars. I, in the long term, I'd probably rather smoke VSG over LG, but in the night, I would take the LG. So
Right.
if I was somewhere they had LG, I'm going to buy LG. But like overall, like, I definitely smoke more VSGs. But at the same time, I never see LG. So to me, LG I can't compare in a sense because they haven't been available on a regular basis for me to smoke them. I might smoke a couple of VSGs a year. I don't smoke a couple LGs a year because they're not around. So I can't review them on a high volume basis. You get what I'm saying? No.
I think it's a really good point that you make in terms of reusability as well, though, because I think the LG is so powerful, so dark, so piney, so potent, so syrupy. It's not as it's not as reusable. It's not as even if you could buy it by the box, I don't know if it's as box worthy as the VSG. As much as I love the LG, um, That's interesting. I don't know if there's a classier
Well,
cigar.
the
Yeah.
VSG is more of a crowd pleaser. The blend, more
Hmm.
people would like it than the LG. I love the LG, but that's not for newbies at all. So, like the VSG, anyone that's moderately into cigars, not maybe not necessarily a newbie, but like if you've been smoking cigars for a year, you can handle a VSG and you're not going to get
Mm.
sick. It's delicious. I want to
I'm
try the work of art. There's a work of art
yeah.
size.
Oh, nice. I'm getting like I'm getting a very zesty, but a very smooth, zesty coffee bean note coming through, which is phenomenal. What's blowing me away about this specific cigar and the specific size? Nice, nice. Um, I'm getting a lush body of the cigar, but over the top of that body, I'm getting additional flavors and notes, which is very impressive. But I think it's also um, it's unusual for a cigar to be able to elegantly have a full flavor profile and then also effortlessly
The
have
cigar
notes on top of
impresses me bro. I've smoked not every cigar in the world, but I've smoked almost everything as far as what's available, right?
it. Hmm.
More than most people, bro. I mean, most people haven't smoked the variety of cigars I've smoked, or reviewing them in multiple sizes, or coming back. And for me to say I love coming back to a cigar means
Yeah.
something. Like I've already most cigars I review, if I enjoy it, I don't come back to it because even if I enjoyed it, it's not worth coming back. I
Yeah.
come back to the VSG. That's when I come back to cigars to revisit, that should mean something to you, especially when I love
Hmm.
it this much. Like the VSG, bro, is in a place not just because of the level of quality, but the reusability, bro. Like I could smoke any cigar I want, man. I love
Ah,
smoking the VSG. When I say I love it, I love this fucking cigar, man.
me too, dude. Man, it blows
And
me
right
away.
now, bro, it's like 68 degrees. I'm in fucking
Nice.
shorts and a t-shirt
Awesome.
and a short sleeve shirt like this. You know what I'm saying, though? I still got it on me. Don't worry. But you know what I'm saying, though? The point is, like, I don't want to make sure you weren't worried, you know? And
I was not worried for a second, Richie. I can assure you, if there's anything I'm not worried about, it's that. I'm never worried about that.
um, but point is, bro, like, the cigar makes me smile.
Me too,
Like,
man.
at the end of the day, it would be nice to review a cigar without talking about strength or
Yeah,
flavor and just talk about emotion.
right. Yeah, tell
Or
me about that. Wait, I just want to acknowledge Caleb saying that he likes the frog. I love the frog. Me too. We got a great frog. Um, yeah, let's talk about that, dude. Let's talk about the flavor and emotional level of this cigar. I think that's a great conversation.
this is a pleasant,
Hmm.
happy. It's the current is moving. It's very steady,
Hmm.
but it's not abrupt. It's so smooth. Um, it's like if a river was moving you, but it wasn't choppy. It definitely has a flow to it. It's not
Yeah,
slow, but it's a very confident cigar that doesn't have to prove itself. It,
yeah.
it, it's it's a delight. It's a delight.
It's it's almost like being rocked by the water. I don't know if you're like when you're on a ship and
Yeah,
that nice motion to it
yeah.
because it's
Or
it's
or like being on
powerful
a
and
hammock.
moving you.
Like just
Yeah, it's powerful, but it's calming. It
it
knows what
makes
it's
you
doing.
feel like everything is okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'll be dead serious. Like this is a very positively blended cigar where you're like everything's okay, and then you smoke like a Punch Diablo, you're like nothing's okay. You know what I'm saying though?
I agree with you, man. It's like I love that it brings you like this one that I'm having is better than any VSG I've had, and I already love the VSG, which is blowing me away. But I love that it's bringing me into the cigar. It's like it takes me into the world of the flavor of the cigar. That makes sense. Almost kind of like the Hemingway Maduro. It takes you into it. So it's taking me into the cigar. But then on top of that, once I'm in there, it's showing me things, right? Like I'm brought in by this lush flavor. And then on top of that, it's like boom, pop a coffee bean,
That would be a good
zestier, boom.
combo of
Yeah.
a Hemingway Maduro and a VSG in the same night because I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the Hemingway Maduro shines. It is so harmonious and happy, and it's even cheaper than the VSG. So the Fuente Hemingway Maduro, bro, you get so much for your money, bro. As far as delicious happiness, cigar, bro. Bro. There's a problem with that, ready? It's not always available. So once again, the VSG is. So the problem with Hemingway Maduro, just like the Añejo, and in some ways, I see the Añejo might be more available than a Hemingway Maduro. Hemingway Maduros are not available.
No, they're
And
not.
that's a bitch. In Florida, they were. And that was nice. I smoked the shit out of them. In fact, when I drove up here, I think I bought like 12 of them, and I smoked almost all of them driving here from Florida. And when I met my landlord, he wasn't my landlord yet. I saw the apartment, and I gave him one. And a few hours later, he called me back, and he said, "Okay, yeah, 3 people came to see the apartment. I chose you." Well, he chose the guy that gave him a Fuente Maduro.
Yeah.
And he said he smoked it. Next time I talked to him, and he said he loved that cigar. He said, "Man, that was a great fucking cigar." And it was the short story size. He goes, it was just perfect. It was such a nice cigar. Hemingway Maduro short story, bro. What a banger! What a fucking banger!
Everything about this cigar is transporting me. It's bringing me in with that body. It's giving me these beautiful three-dimensional notes over top of that. The foot, like the room note, the aroma has its own character to it, which is taking me somewhere.
Bro, could you hold the smoke on this, bro?
Oh, let me do it. It's so delicious, man.
Bro.
So smooth, so delicious.
The finish is getting longer now and heavier. Because remember, dude, this 7x54, bro. I've been here an hour. Look at that. And I'm only about 3 inches in. Bro, this thing is, bro, look at that, bro. Bro, so that's what I'm saying. It's not just one category. And in fact, I think I'm going to drop the ash because I want to relax with it.
Yeah.
Although I have complete confidence with this ash. And it would be sad to drop it.
Well, do what you want, man. This cigar is about.
I want more flavor though. So
I think this cigar is about what you want, right? This cigar is not telling you. It's not demanding something of you like an AJ, right? It's here to serve the smoker.
Are you ready for the ash test and the drop?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I got to get rid of the picture.
Yeah, that's solid on there.
You ready for the flex puff? Bro, that's how solid these cigars are made, bro. Upside down, 3 inches of ash, and sideways for 10 seconds, and they come back. But I'm going to drop it now. But I'll give it one more ash test. Bro. Come on, bro. How do you beat that, bro? Look at that thing.
I don't think you can.
I'm going to drop it, bro. Count to 3.
1, 2, 3. Drop it. Nice.
That thing fell like class act, bro. That thing didn't have to go, man. That thing could have went. Bro.
For sure. Oh, that's a strong ash.
Oh yeah, as soon as I dropped that, man, more airflow, definitely stronger.
You know, it's funny. I had a list of cigars, like my top non-Cubans. I have a list of cigars that I think you nailed. Cigars that you recommend that I disagree with you on. You know what I mean? I thought, there's potential for a spicy episode. You know what I mean? Get into some disagreements, but I can't do it with the cigar, man. I think I've bored Soccer to death. But It's the VSG, man. I just can't.
Bro, I mean, salt now in the finish because now I'm deep
Yeah.
into it, and I got about 4 inches left, which I got another hour, which is amazing. So harmonious. Milk chocolate, salt on the finish, nutty, a little bit of charred wood, not as much
Yeah.
as an ajo. Nice cedar, black pepper that's abundant. It's a creamy texture. It's nutty,
Yeah.
bro. I can't. And the texture, and the aroma, and it's a long enough finish to remind you, but not a heavy enough finish that every time you come back, it reminds you of the flavor. So if its finish is so
Yeah.
heavy, when you
Right.
puff it, you don't even get reminded because does that make any sense? Because you're reminded the whole time on your tongue. Like when you smoke a Padron 26 or 64, you're not reminded because the finish is so heavy and strong. When you're puffing it, you're like, it's full strength from the beginning and long, heavy finish from the beginning. So it's classy in that manner that it's like, I know you're enjoying this, but let me remind you why you're enjoying this. And then you're like, oh my God. And then it's like the flavor breathes in and it slowly breathes out and some essence is left, but you're
Yeah.
not getting blown the fuck out.
I'm getting a. Do you know what a fruit leather is?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a natural fruit. I got a note that was like bright and clear, and it was exactly like a fruit leather. I was not expecting that one. That was unique to this specific cigar. Like not like VSG, I don't think necessarily has that, but this specific one did. That really blew me away.
Yeah, dude. And honestly, I'm not even mad at the band. They don't need to change this band. This
No,
band
the
is so
band is
good.
wonderful.
Dude, the band it's almost like if you look at the Oliva Milano V, it's almost like they try to copy this, but it looks like shit. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying, though?
for sure.
The Oliva V has similar colors. Dude,
This
this,
is a
this,
truly classic band.
dude, there's nothing wrong with the VSG, man. I could smoke this the rest of my life.
Yeah,
I'm fucking content.
I agree with you. I think as far as like a non-Cuban goes, on a non-Cuban scale, this would be like a 9.5. But obviously, like not on a full scale, so that's not the rating. But I just think it's nearly perfect or perfect. I'm not sure.
For me, the cigar is going to be a 4.75. And
Hmm.
when I say, well, why isn't it godlike? It's right there. But the factors of coming back to a cigar has nothing to do with being godlike. The factors of being, a lifetime box worthy cigar, that's nothing to do with being godlike. Like, it's not like the blend is like, I love the blend so much, but it's not like, oh my God, like I never had it. It's just such a perfect cigar that does everything right.
Yeah,
And it's a great blend. It is easy to love. Um, it, it, it just, it's harmonious. I can relax with this thing.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying, though? Um,
Okay,
there's no mystery to this cigar. Like when I'm smoking, it's not
true,
like
true.
it's not like, oh, I don't know what I'm getting. I mean, like overall, like what I'm getting is fucking happiness. That's the bottom line. Like, you know what I'm saying, though. Um, and
So,
it's comfortable. It's a
mhm,
comfortable cigar. I feel if they
mhm.
went stronger,
Yeah, no,
it would get some points for that because you're pushing it more intensity, but would lose. It's a graceful cigar
yeah.
in a way, like you know what I'm saying, though.
To me, it's like a beautiful medium plus to medium full, like in that area.
It
You could call it medium plus, but a lot of flavor. You know.
Yeah, I call this as a light medium full. That's where
Hmm.
it's at.
Right.
Because here's the thing,
Exactly.
though, bro.
Exactly.
Bro, here's the
Between the
thing.
two.
Yeah, but this is why you're getting that. I'm not saying you're wrong. You don't hold the smoke like Richie does. I get the original intent. I'm holding the smoke on almost every puff, so I'm absorbing more of the cigar. So I'm getting more of the true message. So if you're not holding smoke on every puff, you might get more of a heavy medium plus consistent.
I,
And I get that.
well, what I said was between medium plus and medium full. Like you said, light, medium, full. That's exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like
I
I'm holding the
totally agree.
smoke and I'm
I
telling you
totally
this
agree.
is full strength. You know what I'm saying? Though.
Right? No,
So
100% agree with what you're saying.
yeah, yeah. So
Exactly.
when you hold the smoke a lot in a cigar, you might jump up like half. So it might go from medium full. If it was a medium full, just puffing. If you're always holding the smoke, it might be a heavy medium full. But you're never gonna hold a smoke on a mild cigar and go, "That's full strength."
Yeah. But
No.
I actually have been holding the smoke, I think, more than usual on the cigar because it's so smooth, right? It's so friendly and it's so inviting into the flavor profile in the smoke. Um, so I wanted to say about
Would you agree the smoke is soft? As I'm releasing the
yes,
smoke slowly, I'm
yes,
being dead serious. Some smoke is like harsh, dude.
right.
When you're releasing the smoke, you're like,
Hmm.
it's. I'm being dead serious, bro. If they allowed you to smoke a cigar in church, I would smoke the
Mm,
VSG. This
hmm.
is a pleasant cigar, man. You're like, you know what I'm saying? No, I think if you had two enemies in a room and they both smoke the VSG, they can get along for an hour and a half. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying, though?
yeah,
You could be like, you know what I'm saying? You're like, yeah, all right, buddy. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so I think when it comes to this being a classic, I think when you get darker than this is just about as dark as you can get before you start to lose potential, right? Like if you have the main note here in the spectrum, then you have the resonance off in both sides. You know what I'm talking about? Like with a music note,
Yeah,
like
once you
when you
go so dark on a cigar, it becomes harder to see, first off, non-dark notes. You know what I'm saying, though? So
Mhm.
it's, and it becomes more oppressive and more depressing. It might become more. Now, here's the thing: if you're gonna make a dark cigar, I prefer it when it's strong. Because don't give me a dark mild cigar. That's
Right, sure,
ridiculous.
that's not working.
Like you don't want to go to a rock show and them playing like acoustic, like maybe one song, but not the whole fucking time. You know.
Hmm. So what I'm saying is, I think if you go darker, you start to lose the capacity to have some of the lighter notes or some of the range. That's what I'm really saying. I think so. This is, I think, the darkest where you getting such a strong range. I think obviously the ideal, right? Like the abstract ideal is around like a Cuban Monte Cristo in terms of darkness, right? Which is like 50 to 55, maybe 60% darkness. You're getting a total range. You're being able to reach all the way down into deep notes and you're able to have light notes. And this isn't doing that per se, but it has a really strong range. I think basically what I'm trying to say is I think if you take away what's cool or what's a fad right now, I think fundamentally this blend works better for cigars, works better for this medium than like a darker cigar like the Micarita. I don't think you can ever get to this level, right? With that type of blend.
No, those
You see what I'm saying?
cigars are great and they're strong, but they can never. They're not as beautiful as this. But it's you can't do both. You know what I'm saying though? Liga number 9 tries to do both. It tries to be beautiful. Like it's more beautiful than like a foundation, but
Hmm.
it's not as dark as heavy. You know, not as strong. But it's definitely darker and heavier than a Liga, stronger and darker than this. But it's
Hmm.
not as beautiful though.
Hmm.
And I would rather smoke the VSG more frequently than a Liga. But I love Liga though. But it's just two different vibes, you know. But to me, like if I was just basing it on harmonious,
Hmm.
and if the vibe is a complete cigar, the
Right.
VSG is a complete cigar. The
Right.
VSG is a complete, flawless blend for what it's
Yes.
trying to do. You know what I'm
Right.
saying though? There's no uh, misperception of what it is. It's not like it's advertised as the strongest cigar. And if anything, I think it gives you a lot for the money.
Oh,
In this
big
day
time.
and age of $27 DBS Rocky Patel, are you kidding me? Like, there's no Rocky Patel that could touch a VSG.
Not even
Eh,
close. I mean,
yeah.
that's insane in the same sentence. What cigars do you think could compete on the non-Cuban cigar side with the VSG? Do you think there are any cigars that can compete?
Well, not exactly in the blend, but in the overall vibe and price
That's
point.
what I mean. Yeah. No, no, not
Anejo.
even price point. But price, no one, any price you
Anejo,
want.
Anejo, Liga number 9. Those are all great, great cigars. Um, Padron
But I
26.
don't think the Liga is as complete because it's darker. You see?
I'm not saying it's complete. It's
Uh huh.
very few cigars are complete. I'm just talking about cigars in the category. The classic Padron 26, Maduro, Ligas, Anejos. The Foundation, I feel, is like a little lower tier. But if you want to throw that in there, okay.
No, I'm saying, but my question is, I hear what you're saying. My question is, what cigars? Any it could be like the Davidoff Anniversario. I think is a fairly complete
I think
cigar.
if you go with the Davidoff Nicaragua, the classic Nicaragua Davidoff is a great cigar. Have you ever smoked that cigar?
I smoked the Davidoff Nicaragua 10. Remember?
No,
I didn't
no,
like it.
no. You got to
Um,
go with the classic Nicaragua. That's
but
more beautiful.
I'm saying in terms of complete, like let me see if I can come up with any examples of what I mean by complete. I think that the Anniversario is complete. I think the LG is complete. I think the Opus X is complete. I think the uh I would almost say that the Andalusian Bull is complete. It's not quite, but it's like getting near to complete. Oh, you know what? I think now I was going to say the Aladino Corojo, but I don't think it is because it doesn't have as much going on. You know what I mean? It's too simple to be a complete blend.
Yeah, it's got nice spice notes on that, but it doesn't have tons of sweetness, and it's a nice cigar. But it's now to the VSG, if you, as far as just being a perfect,
Hmm.
um, for example, if it was a record album, this would be a perfect record album. There's not
Hmm.
one bad song on it. You
Hmm.
know what I'm
Hmm.
saying, though?
Hmm.
And it's hard to emulate that. Now, that's why it's my favorite Ashton. Now, I like the Maduro. It's a good cigar, but it's not as good as the VSG.
Yeah,
A lot of guys don't fuck with the ESG. First off, the ESG is harder to find, and a lot of guys are charging $30 for the ESG. And I'm not going up 50% or more, 60, 70% in cost when I can smoke a Toro VSG for $17. Why would I spend $30 for ESG? That's a lot. Even if it say it's a little better, that's a lot more money, and I don't know if it is better. The extra cost really it pisses me off because it's the same fucking brand. And so to say, well, VSG Toro's $16, $17. Wow, okay, it's upper. Well, it used to be a luxury price point, but this price point because everything went up in a way that price points going up, but VSG really didn't go up. So in a way, VSG used to be a luxury price point, but now it's $15 to $17. That's like upper mid tier in this
true.
day and
Yeah,
age.
it's kind of gone down in price if you think about it.
Yeah, it went down in price because yeah, so it's actually gotten better for people.
Hmm.
Um, now, so why is the ESG sometimes 60, 70% more money? Why?
So I want to rattle off a few cigars. I've been working on a couple lists to sum up my journey, but one of them is like my top 10 non-Cuban cigars. I just want to see what these are. I want to see if any of them are as complete as the VSG. First one is VSG. That's as complete as the VSG. Second one's Cameroon Cabinet. I don't think it's as complete. Um, it's really good, but it's not as complete.
No.
Casa Cuba. Casa Cuba is fairly complete.
Capaccia Cuba is a great cigar, hard to find though sometimes,
Hmm.
and it's a great cigar, but I don't think anyone would say that Casa Cuba is better than VSG.
No, I'm not
Great.
saying it's better, but is it also complete? You see what I'm saying?
Casa Cuba has a following, guys that like it. I like the Casa Cuba, man. So I don't
Yeah.
want to say bad about it, but no, I don't think it's as perfect as the VSG.
Well, I'll give you an example. I think the Angel Share is not as complete as the VSG. I think it's a good cigar, but it's not as complete. You see what I'm saying? Because it's lacking some of the richness. Uh, Uncle Larry cabinet's very solid, but it's lacking some of what's possible with a cigar, right? I don't think that we'll put it like this. When I smoke the VSG, I'm not thinking about, oh, I wish it had blank. That doesn't come to my mind. But a lot of cigars, there's something I wish it had.
And also the Angel Share is a version of the Opus, so it's in a way it's not its own original thing. It's Opus X, but it's the Angel
Yeah,
Share. The VSG is the VSG. There's no
right,
other version. There's
right,
one fucking blend in like what 8 sizes, and that's
right.
commendable. And you're talking about over 20 years. I don't know how many years, but over 20, I guess.
Yeah.
And so like that means something. Now, and then if you factor in price, the VSG is giving you way more for your money than Angel Share. If you're going by price, Angel Share's got to be better, right? Because it's people paying $30, $40 a stick. It's not worth $40 a stick. It's a great cigar.
Yeah.
When I was getting them in Colorado for 16 $17 a piece. When I was getting 3 packs for $50, dude, yeah, then that's really a steal. At $17 for Angel Share, that's a
Yeah.
steal, Robusto. But what are people paying now, bro? Easily
Right.
$40, right?
Right.
You know,
Yeah. No. Yeah.
so like that's now it's like price doesn't matter till it matters, right? So when you're asking double or more, then let's say the VSG has a static line. If you're going double the price of the VSG and way harder to find, I'm not saying, and I love the fucking Angel Share. And in some aspects, I like it better in some aspects than the fucking VSG,
Sure.
but not in the
Sure.
complete aspect, because the
Right.
VSG is available. The VSG is available in multiple sizes. The VSG's been around for over 20 years, and I've come back to it always. Now,
Mhm.
if the Angel Share was always available, but if it was always $50, then that would change too. So if the Angel Share was always available MSRP, then I could judge it like that, and maybe I would like it better as far as long term. But long term, the VSG's always been available. The flavor's
Sure.
never changed. The quality's never changed, and it's great in every size. That's what too. It's great in every size.
True.
And so these are all these factors that it's a complete unit, not just as a cigar, but the whole behind the cigar. If that makes any sense, you know.
Yeah. So
So
when I'm thinking about complete profile, I'm talking about is there anything missing? Is there anything that you wish it had?
no, I get that, but I'm talking
Yeah.
about the whole presence. Meaning,
Right.
I wish
Right. And
the
I
Angel
understand
Share
that
was
too.
in more sizes.
Right.
I
I
wish the
agree. Yeah.
Angel Share was always available, and guess what? That's never going to happen. So that's a factor, man. So the point is, if guys are going crazy for a cigar, it might be because it's only not available.
Hmm.
Once a
Sure.
cigar is always available, then that's the real truth. The fact that
Mm-hmm.
VSG is always available and people still smoke them, you
That's
get what
true.
I'm saying, though? Because once something's always available, that can also hurt the cigar and go, it's not special anymore.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a few more on here. I have the Hoya Classico, which I think is a really good cigar, not complete. Andalusian Bull, I think it's bordering on complete, basically complete.
The problem with the
Placencia,
bowl is availability, not the price. Well, not the
uh-huh.
price for me,
Sure.
$18, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
problem really is the size. It should have came in a Toro, you know. And I like the build up, and it's great. But
I love the size, man. Isn't that crazy? I think it just performs so well. You know what I
no,
mean?
it's a great cigar. And guess what? I'm gonna smoke one of those pretty soon. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying though? Because
Hmm.
those are great cigars, dude. They still have a whole box, and they have another box in the back.
Nice. Nice.
$18, bro. And no one's buying them. How do you beat
That's
that?
that's insane. Okay, Placencia
Well,
Rabbit,
you
I
know
don't think
why?
it's
Because
mhm.
in that shop, $18 for a cigar is crazy.
I see, yeah. Well, I mean, that cigar at $18 is really incredible. Um, Placencia Rabbit, I think, is an incredible cigar with beautiful notes, but I think the profile is still not
Dude, all those
wall to
guys in that
wall.
shop are smoking like mid tier. You know, like one of the
Got
number
you.
one brands those guys are smoking? Padron 1000 series.
You know
And
what?
Padron 1000
Padron
series.
Padron 1926 is probably a complete cigar,
Yeah,
right?
but no, I'm talking, but
You see what I'm
I'm
saying?
saying the neighborhood, that
Right.
shop, their number one selling cigar is the 1000 series. So what does that tell you about that neighborhood? Guys
Sure.
want strong, heavy Nicaraguan cigars at a cheap price because they sell them for like $10, $9. Another brand that's the overall, as far as a brand, is LFD because guys are buying
Yeah.
the big diggers and the Oscuro cabinets for
Right.
$9 there. So that neighborhood is tough working class guys that want big, strong cigars for a mid tier price.
Got you. Got you. So that's not the market for that cigar.
No, so the bowl
Yeah.
is like, what are you kidding me? That's not even
Right, of
strong.
course.
What are you
Right, and
kidding me?
it's
That's
a slow
expensive.
build up. Yeah,
Yeah,
expensive.
so you
Agreed.
understand like there's what it is in the way it is. You know what
Sure.
I'm saying? No,
Sure.
so it's like, in a way that's why you can't really go to cigar shops and ask for advice
Yeah.
because they're gonna go, well, this is our biggest seller.
Right, I see
It's like
what
if
you
you go
mean.
to a
Yeah.
gun shop, I know I love going to different gun shops, and each gun shop will tell you something different, and it might be true there. You're gonna go, "Oh, that caliber sucks," or they're gonna go, "That brand sucks," and the other shop, they love selling it, So, like,
Right.
it's in a way, going back to what we're saying about art, every place, everyone's in their own little bubble, and their bubble is true, but they never leave that bubble.
Right.
Does that make any sense?
Right. Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. Only when you're looking at it from every direction, and yeah, I understand what you mean. That's a good point. I think. Let me think about what the problems with the VSG are. I think the only thing I don't like about the VSG is it's not my flavor profile, right? Like I'm not like, how do I put this? Some of the flavors in the VSG aren't the flavors that I'm looking for, right? Like I prefer the flavor profile on the Rabbit. I find it like fruity and floral, light wood. That's more up my alley. Um, but I think in terms of if you're trying to deliver these notes, I don't think that these notes have been delivered better in my experience.
yeah, it's not like the flavor I'm getting is something I never had before, but the clarity of flavor and the way they're
Right.
delivered, and right there, jalapenos coming in as the
Nice.
cigar's getting strong. But it's Fuente does the best jalapeno note. The Fuente jalapeno mixes with their flavor, with the charred wood, with the
Mm-hmm.
spice, and with this milk chocolate. It actually is fucking
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal. Like it's I am not having every puff. I'm having a great time, and every puff gets better. So
Yeah.
like I have nothing bad to say about VSG. Now, if I zoom out, yeah, there's times like no, I want a stronger Patron 26 Maduro, but it's not that kind of party. So if we
Yeah.
zoom in for what it's doing, if I'm just basing the experience on the cigar. The VSG has never let me down. I've smoked it over 100 times. Not as much as the Padron 26, but I've smoked it a lot.
Yeah.
More than a decade. I've been smoking the cigar a lot. I smoked it many times with Johnny Stash, and just had a great time with this blend. So, and never I
Mm-hmm.
was like, eh. Every time
Yeah.
you're like, oh my god, So for a
Right.
cigar that's available, you really can't go wrong with this. You know what I'm saying though? If we're talking about cigars that are not available, like the rare pink, I love the rare pink. Not really available, highly gouged, and
Yeah.
those two factors piss me off because I'm not paying $40 for a cigar.
So when you were talking about the Padron Maduro, I smoked the 2000 Maduro the other day because I wanted to give it another shot, and it didn't get me to the point that I wanted, but it was actually a very solid cigar, and it got me close to something. And I want to point this out. There's a dark type of cigar. There's a dark type of cigar like the Liga 9, but there's also a dark type of cigar like a Maduro, which is like the Camacho broadleaf and the 1000 series Maduro. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it
It's not
starts to.
exactly a super dark, thick wrapper on that thing. It's not
Mhm.
like on that Maduro. If you look at the 1000 series Maduro, it's not really a super high. It doesn't go. It doesn't go through a really long Maduro process, and it's a
Mm,
very young cigar,
yeah,
and so clearly they're not using the highest priming. 'Cause higher priming would take more time to age, and I think what the Padron does because of the name and the price point, and it's a good, dirty, enjoyable, strong Nicaraguan cigar from a reputable brand that makes better cigars. But at the end of the day, you're still smoking Padron. It's almost like when Mercedes made their C Class. It was a cheap Mercedes, but guys that didn't want to spend Mercedes money or they just wanted the name, Mercedes C Class was very popular because it was. I remember when it came out, and I had a rich friend in California. He's like, "Oh, Mercedes cheap class," and he's like, "Oh, he goes, Mercedes starts at S." And so,
yeah.
but for guys that wanted a $40,000 Mercedes new, they could afford it, So, what the Padron 1000 series at MSRP, and unfortunately, Padron keeps raising their prices. But those things used to
Right,
be $6, $7 for the
right.
big one, so there was a high value on that. Um, is it my go-to? No, but can they be enjoyed? Yeah. And sometimes it's good to go back to a cigar like that and go, this is kind of a raw, strong cigar just to kind of reset your palate on how smooth the other cigars are. You can almost
So,
forget how good smoother cigars are if you never go lower.
so I want to posit an idea. I want to come forward with an idea that I've been thinking through this episode. I think there are different little clusters of different types of profiles with cigars, and I'll give examples, and maybe it'll make more sense. This is the way I see it. You have the VSG, which is beautiful, dark, not too strong, and a large range, flavor range. I think the competitors to that cigar are the LFD Cameroon Cabinet, um, not the 2000 Cameron cabinet, just the regular series of the Cameron cabinet. So you get that. You have the Hemingway Maduro, I would say. I think you have the Opus X. You have the VSG. I'm sure there are others, but those are some examples. Um, Maybe the LG actually, or the Bull is kind of in that range. I think the Bull's actually a little lighter, so I take it back. More the LG. Then you have these dark, fancy cigars, like the Micarita
I
Tabernacle
know you didn't
Liga
like the
9.
Partagas Legend. I love that cigar. In my
Mm,
opinion, I could put that there with the VSG. You hated it. But the
yeah,
problem with that is I don't see it available as much. That was expensive for Partagas, and that wasn't a bullshit blend. And I love the wrapper of that thing. I, you had a terrible experience, and I don't know. I don't know what to say about that.
I
I
I
fucking love that cigar.
I got so at the beginning of that cigar, I agree with you. It's beautiful and it's coming out of the gate strong. I find that it does not build the same way as some of these cigars that we talk about that we really like and agree on. And I felt that it started to droop and it got dirty. That was my experience with that cigar.
Okay. Did you like the Valley Verde? That is a light Mexican San Andreas Partagas.
I haven't smoked that one yet, but I did buy one
You
per
would
your
like that
recommendation.
because it's a light shade, almost like a Colorado
Uh-huh.
type of a valley of a Mexican San Andreas,
Hmm.
and it's pleasant, and it's really it's a dude. I think you would like that.
I'll check. Yeah, I have one. I will note that. Thank you. So So I think you have this area of dark, fancy cigars, like this boutique style, right? With like the Liga 9. Then you have this elegant, large range, darker cigar like the VSG. Then you have sort of the medium area of cigars. And I'm talking about really good cigars, these like little moments of these clusters. So at the medium area, I would say stuff like Casa Cuba, uh, Andalusian Bull. I think those go in the same area, if that makes sense. I think some of the AJ, although it doesn't get to the same level, can kind of fit into that sphere. Then I think you have lighter style cigars, which I struggle to find with non-Cubans. But I give you a couple examples, like the Plasencia Reserva Original, the Plasencia Rabbit, the Herrera Esteli Habano, the original one. Um, did I say Hoyo Classico? Hoyo Classico. So that's kind of like the
You would have
light
liked
natural.
the new Sancho Panza, the light one. They have
Mm-hmm.
a Sancho Panza Honduran like Puro kind of vibe, and the new one in the white box.
Hmm.
I like them all, but if you want a good twangy Cubanesque of a lighter shade cigar, that might be up your alley. It's affordable. It's like eight
Interesting.
bucks,
I'll check that out.
and I
I bought
really
a
think
box.
you. What's that?
I bought a box of the limited one that you liked, the yellow bib.
Oh, dude, and you haven't smoked
I
those?
haven't smoked it yet.
Oh my god! And the paper tissue,
Hmm. Hmm.
bro. Those are a banger. That is the best Oliva cigar, man. Bro, until I had the Gurkha Oliva, which I know it's crazy that sounds. The Gurkha Oliva was fucking phenomenal. And I know you
Yeah,
didn't like it.
I didn't smoke that one.
Oh,
I haven't smoked
bro.
it.
Even Jeremy loved that cigar, man. That wasn't
Yeah,
bullshit. The problem is like that cigar was one and done, and
right.
that's it. So that's another issue. So like that hurts the cigar. Uh,
It's expensive. It's large, and you can't get it. Um,
yeah.
So I just realized like the Milano V is probably in a similar range to like the VSG, right? I don't like the Milano V, but it's kind of in that wheelhouse. That's what I
Yeah,
mean.
but the Milano V isn't a complete flavor profile. What's
Hmm.
great about the Milano V is it was a good cigar that was cheaper than the Padron 6426. And so
Gotcha.
you at a lounge, you're gonna go, well, back in the day now, but now they've raised the
Right.
prices on them. Even at lounges. So
Hmm.
Oliva's getting nuts with their lounge pricing, but then they're
Right.
dumping them on the internet.
Yeah.
Oliva, I've seen a bigger backstab than Cohiba on the internet. Oliva is doing $17 for Master Blend
Right.
3s at lounges.
Oh yeah.
And on the internet, $2.
So let's not even get down the Master Blend 3
Yeah.
road. But okay, so then the next cluster, I would say, is like the lighter cigars, and then you have nice lighter cigars like Atabey, even though I don't like the Atabey, but you have I would say
Davidoff does nice light cigars.
exactly like Davidoff Anniversario
Dude,
is
in like
exactly
skinny gauges, bro.
right.
I just told you I was with Johnny Stash. I smoked.
Mhm.
I think they were 3.5, no 4 inch by like 46. Bro, they were fucking bangers. It was
Nice.
like $12, bro. Bro, the flavor on it was
Right.
like, bro, it was so awesome, bro. It was such an awesome time. It was a
Now
great
we
post. We were having
yeah.
dinner and we went right to a little 4 inch, means a 4 inch, like
Mhm.
46, a great post dinner cigar. Then later on, we smoked something bigger, but like for a post dinner, you light it up right there while you're chilling. I
Nice.
think, you know what I'm saying though? Like,
Nice. That's classic, dude.
yeah, bro.
That's a classic use of a cigar. Um, so I think where would you put the Monty Brown? I don't know if it's good enough to have it on like a real list, but I think maybe that would
No,
be in the light
that's a
Habana.
great cigar.
Yeah.
It's not as complete as this at all,
Right.
but it's been around and long enough. And for if you look at the price point on like online, it's a deal. The problem is that stores, there's a lot of play. I've seen them as cheap as like $12, but I've seen them like people, oh, $22. Like, get the fuck out of here. So if you get those online, like a
Right.
5 pack for like $25, bro, those are great cigars. Now, but it's not as perfect as the VSG at all. No, and that's an old blend though. That's an old blend. We're like, I don't think cigars back then were getting a lot of sweetness. You know what I'm saying though?
Hmm.
Like
So
to me,
mhm,
like if you look at a VSG, Opus X, and Aho, like those are like peak of like complete cigars.
right.
And then society's like, no, we want to get fisted. And then
Right.
like Nicaragua, and then like everyone's like, okay, I guess like General Altatus, even other brands, even higher end brands, like we better start making Nicaraguan cigars. So people just wanted strong fisting cigars. People didn't care about beauty anymore. People they looked at beautiful cigars as they have no flavor because people started judging strength as flavor.
So
So in a way,
yeah.
the Nicaraguan just as like polymer Glocks and those style guns killed the metal guns that were made, like let's say like Berettas and like Smith and Wessons, they were making amazing stainless steel and aluminum, double action, single action, and the guns were expensive, but they shot like dreams. But the guys were like, yeah, but they're heavy to carry though. We want light guns, like, and they're cheap, and that's
Yeah.
what happened with Glock. So Glock destroyed, in a way, the perception of people like, I just want a light gun that's cheap. Okay, well, same thing will happen with Nicaraguan cigars. I just want a cigar that's cheaper and stronger,
Hmm.
and that's what happened. Nicaraguan, took over because things change in a society, But now we're seeing expensive Nicaraguan cigars.
Sure. So okay.
I
So I
mean,
want
look
to
at Placencia, Amaforte, and all those lines.
right.
They're
Right.
not cheap, you know.
Hmm.
So,
Well, and I love that rabbit. Right. I thought that was phenomenal. Um. Okay. So here's the I love the Monty Brown. You know I love the Monty Brown, right? We agree on that. We're very strong on that. I agree with you. I don't think it's a complete profile. I think as good as it is, if I was saying if every
but you're
cigar
judging it by now, or let's say because that cigar came out before VSG. That was complete for its time, where guys were smoking Connecticut Shade. That's it.
but
That
but
cigar.
you but the Monty 2, the original the Cuban Monty 2 came out before that, right? And that's a complete cigar. You see what I'm saying? Here's my point, Richie. It's like back to my what I was saying. I want to judge cigars based on not when they came out or if they're good. Look at listen. At the price which you can get the Monty Brown on the internet, you can get
Yeah,
it for $4 a stick. Dude, buy
yeah,
2 boxes. Are you
yeah,
kidding me? It's a
yeah,
delicious cigar. I love that cigar. I'm not saying it's bad, but what I'm
yeah,
saying is I have this idea in my head. The VSG is prompting. It's such a beautiful cigar. It's prompting this idea to me. So come along, please come along with me with this idea. Is I don't think the Monty Brown is complete, but I actually think the Herrera Esteli is complete, interestingly, and in that range. So here, let me digress for a second. And then the other range is on that high end, like you were saying, the beautiful Davidoffs. I think they make really complete light blend cigars, right? So here's my point. I think you have, as far as I understand, these are the categories, but I think you could find other categories. I think you have light, like Davidoff White Label. You have uh, light medium, like the what's a good example? I think like a Cuban Monte Cristo would be a good example, but maybe um,
Light medium, like Aladino Classic.
yeah, but that's I don't think that it's complete. As much as I love that cigar, I don't think it's complete. But like it's like that cigar. Then
Okay,
you have
what
yeah,
do you think about the punch golden era?
I haven't smoked that one. I should smoke that.
I think you would like that cigar.
So maybe that's a good example. Then you have, I think you also have one step below that, which is kind of similar, which is like the true medium, which is like Casa Cuba, which I think is complete. Andalusian Bull, right? That's complete. Then you have a step below that, getting into this darker category, like the VSG. Then you have a step below that, which is Liga 9 on the fancy side, of the boutique side. And then you have, on the more rustic side, you have stuff like the Padron Maduro, right?
Yeah, yeah, and
Which I think is good.
they all make Maduro. You know, yeah. I mean, it's yeah. What Padron does great on the 64 and 26. If you want more rustic,
Hmm.
simplistic, a little more raw power, and like full strength from the beginning, those are great for. You know what I'm saying
Hmm.
though? No, nothing held back. Um, from the first, Padron makes great cigars with no mystery. There's no foreplay
Hmm.
with the Padron. Fuente, from the first puff, it starts building up to the end. There's a lot of graduation as you're smoking any Fuente product. Padron's like,
Right.
fuck that. Like, Padron is like, it'd be like if you skip boot camp and training and you go day one into combat. That's Padron.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't have any training for fuck that. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't
Right.
give a Padron 64 Maduro to someone smoking a cigar the first time. I mean, if you
Sure.
want to, you know what I'm saying? No, but like, there's no build up. Like, so in a way, that's not how most cigars are, or so, or in a way, Padron is the most opposite brand to Fuente. Padron, but so that's why I like
Yeah.
to compare them because one is made for like right now. That's fucking Padron, like just fucking. It's like someone like making money and spending it the same instant. You know what I'm saying though? Where Fuente is like, take it easy, have some
Yeah.
patience,
For
and
sure.
it's worth it in the end, like a great novel or a great movie. At the end, you're like, holy shit, I see dead people. He was dead the whole time. Like that's what's like smoking any Fuente product. So, but if you don't have patience, though, you're not gonna like Fuente
Okay.
at all.
I put it like this. I think this will speak to you. I think those are the genres of cigars. And then you can say you can have a darker cigar, like let's say the Anejo. Would you say the Anejo and the Padron 26 Maduro can compete, or you think that's too different?
Well, they can compete that they're darker cigars.
Right.
Um, they both would be considered not weak, so I guess they'd be considered strong. But the Padron 26 and 64 will both be considered stronger. Um, but when you say stronger, though, I don't think it necessarily is that Fuente is using weak tobacco on the Anejo, but they're aging this tobacco much longer.
Right.
The Anejo is really smooth. So, but a lot of guys will take that as being weak. It's not like when I'm done
Right.
smoking an Anejo, I feel like I didn't have a strong cigar. But on the palate, it was so pleasant. But once again, guys, if you go into a cigar with this mindset that I want strong, and what they really mean is they want younger tobacco,
Mm.
and then Nicaraguan stuff is going to be your answer.
Right.
There's really no, you can go like even like LFD, but LFD hits you different. LFD, they're
Hmm.
strong cigars. Like even when I have a Lajero,
Right.
they hit you harder later.
Right.
LFDs, do they creep up on you, man? Like LFD, like in the end, you're like, oh, and then you go to sleep and you're like, holy shit, hold on. You're like, bro, like you smoke a double Lajero Digger Maduro, bro. That night you might be puking, man. You might be like, oh my god, like just like.
Do you think there's a
We haven't even
Fuente?
talked about my father, though. Isn't that funny?
True.
In my opinion, that brand is starting to become irrelevant. They
Yeah.
used, because I think they turned their back on the middle class. My father was constantly coming out with like great $8 cigars, $10 cigars, and now they're just going after high end. And in my opinion, they stopped doing what they're known for.
I smoked that Garcia the other day.
But that's a limited usage, meaning it's a that's their high end, like very small production. Though you
I
can't
thought
judge
it
the
was
brand.
I thought it was good, but it didn't blow me away, at that price point. So anyway, I want to say, do you think there's any Fuente that would compete with the 26 Maduro? That's my question.
You can't compete head to head.
Okay,
But if you're talking about in strength, if you go to a rare pink, that's because
true,
it has some Nicaragua in it. Okay.
true.
If you go with the Diamond Crown Maximus, okay, but
Mm-hmm.
still it's gonna be different flavor profiles. But if you want like true like medium full cigars, I guess you can go
Yeah,
with that.
I
But you
put the
can't
I
compare a Fuente
oh,
Hemingway Maduro to any Padron product because one's like a
no,
smooth
certainly.
operator. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's
yeah.
almost like there's no abrasiveness on Fuente really. If you don't want
But
the classic stuff.
I would put the Hemingway Maduro more in the VSG range, right? I
Well,
would
that's what I'm
also put
saying. It's
them.
very difficult to compare Padron and
Sure.
Fuente. Two
Okay, fair enough.
different, two different ideals.
Right.
You
So,
know,
but what I'm trying to get at is, I think it's like, let's just say, for example, give me a little wiggle room here. I'm going to compare the Anejo and the 26 Maduro. Okay. Just, I
mm,
realize it's not exact. Okay.
mm.
But I think you have these different genres. You have the light shade cigars, which are often like Connecticut or lighter Cuban. You have medium light, which is like sort of a lot of Cubans or Herrera Esteli, etc. Then you have true mid range, um, which is like Monte, like Cuban Monte. I guess that would also be on the lighter side. Then you have like dark side of Habano, which is like Casa Cuba. Then you have these darker, sweeter cigars like VSG. Then you have below that you have like dark cigars like 26 Maduro. But my point, or Liga 9, but those are two different ways. My point is
There's
that
some good stuff from Espinosa, like the Espinosa,
mhm,
but they're cheaper though. They're not as good as the Padron. But the 601 broadleaf, if you want a dirty, even
mhm.
cheaper, like something above. Because the 601 Espinosa, I always said, is like above the 1000 series, but
Right.
below the 64. I don't know if
Okay.
you ever fucked with that. Or the Batman cigar, the Murcielago.
Mhm.
Um,
So what
I,
I'm saying is
yeah.
each one of these is like a genre, but people approach the genre differently. You see what I mean? Like put it like this. This is a really good example. The Liga 9, the Tabernacle, and the Micarita are definitely in the same genre, right? It's a
Mm,
similar type of action movie, but
mm.
they do it differently. So what I'm trying to say is, I think when you look at cigars from a objective perspective, where you're
And I
not
don't
saying,
think the Liga has held up as well, meaning perception wise, because a lot of
uh-huh,
people say, "Oh, they're not as good since Saka left," or
hmm
"They're not as good as they used to be because the brand got bought out." So, where no one's gonna say that about VSG. So,
sure,
like, I think Liga definitely had more pull in the community when it first came out in the first couple years, dude. Like, it was like it had a lot, and that's where time will test something. So,
hmm
you know what I'm saying? No, it definitely doesn't. Liga doesn't have the same, and I love Liga, but Liga doesn't have the same. How do you say? Um,
staying power.
yeah, it doesn't as the VSG did.
Yeah.
It
So
doesn't.
let me say like this: if you take a snapshot at any given moment, right? Like just today, if we took a snapshot of all the cigars, I think there are a few genres where cigars start to pop up. I'll give you a counter example. Give me 1 second to think of a counter example.
You say like cigars can make a genre, and then there's other cigars that just join the genre. Like Foundation Tabernacle didn't make a genre; it joined the genre,
Hmm Right. Sure. Sure.
which might
Well,
be harder because
yeah.
you're gonna go. You already have competition,
Mhm.
you know. But then you
But I'm
might
saying
go,
there are
you know.
some cigars that don't work and therefore aren't in a genre.
Mm.
Like a strange cigar might. I'm trying to think. I'm struggling to find an example. It's almost like to me the I will disagree on this, but I don't like the Macanudo Green. Right. I think that that's a strange dark cigar, and I don't think that that's
Macanudo Red.
Macanudo Green.
Oh, green.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the Inspirato.
Inspirato Green.
Um, It's got some Brazilian. It's kind of funky, but I enjoy it. But I like the black is more easy to love.
Right, exactly. So I think the black, I haven't smoked it, but I imagine it fits into that type of genre.
The
Whereas I
black
don't,
is at $7 MSRP at a lounge. The black is a good, like, semi-dirty, enjoyable, sweet cigar that you're like, you know what, bro, fuck it. That price point, like, as long as it works, you know what I'm saying? Though it was a gift to the middle class. Paper boxes, cheap bands, but a fucking Inspirato. It was strong for Macanudo,
yeah.
and it was a complex lineup. You had the white, the black, the green. The red was my least favorite. The orange you might like, which is like a Honduran
Hmm.
Puro kind of vibe.
Hmm.
That has that lighter, like a light sun-grown kind of vibe to it. I don't
Yeah.
know if you ever had the orange.
I tried to smoke one once, but I don't know if it was good condition. I didn't have a very memorable experience with it, if that makes sense.
If you like the Cohiba Blue, you might like the
Yeah. Co-
Inspirato Orange. That's all I'm saying.
Cohiba Blue is a good example of a lighter Habano type of genre cigar. Um,
And that's the easy to love cigar. That's
right.
been a banger for them. That thing has been out for almost 10 years, and dude, like, they sell a lot of Cohiba Blue, man.
How
They,
much?
like,
How? No, sorry.
yeah.
How much more cigar do you have? Should I light up a Valley Verde?
I got some time. I mean, I probably have at least another. The way I'm smoking, at least another 20 minutes.
Okay, cool. I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab a Valley Verde
Okay.
and I'll
Well, while
smoke
you're doing
this.
that, I'm gonna start the news.
Okay, wait, but I wanna. Okay, you can start the news, but okay, let me. I'll pitch my idea then.
You
So
could pick.
here's
No,
my.
you could. But my point is, so you pitch your idea, but I gotta throw in some of the news too, though. So you know what I'm saying, though. But pitch the
Okay, fair
idea.
enough. So the idea is basically this: if you take a snapshot, there are different genres that are working. I don't think the Macanudo Green was what I was saying. I don't think it fits nicely into any
No,
category,
it's
and
an
I don't
experimental blend.
exactly. That's exactly my point. But I think
Which those cigars have their place. They have their place.
But I'm saying, I think if you look at classic cigars, what you're looking at is a few genres, and somebody can make a new genre, right? Like somebody could make an extremely spicy light cigar, and if it's incredible, that might form a new genre, right? I don't,
Well,
I
I think like the Padron Damaso Red. I think it
right.
doesn't fit into any category. Like, who the fuck is making almost a full strength Connecticut?
Mhm.
But if you want that once in a while, okay. But it
Yeah,
begs the question of why.
yeah. So, right, okay. So maybe that makes its own genre, maybe it doesn't. But what I'm trying to say is
I think they just become like bizarre, you know.
some cigars fit into these genres, which are classic. They're these what's called a local maximum in math. I think that's the name for it. But basically, it's like in this one little space, there's a peak of cigars that really work, right? Like let's say the 1926 Maduro. You say that cigar really works. I think that one little area, there's a sweet spot there, right? And somebody could make a competitor to that cigar, like the Oliva Maduro, and also be good. It's in that genre. So what I'm saying is, you have a series of these genres,
Yeah.
and those are the uh, those are the current genres. If we take a snapshot of today, those genres exist for cigars. It doesn't mean new ones can't be made, but those are the current ones. And within those genres, you have examples of complete profiles that are hitting on all cylinders, like the VSG. And those, to me, I think, are the classic cigars, the really important special cigars, right? Like there are cigars that we might really like. Like I love the Aladino Corojo, but I don't think it's a classic level cigar yet. I think they could make a blend that's similar. Maybe the Golden
Yeah,
Era is.
I just don't think Aladino has that power in the community. The people Honduran cigars have never been really, except for Camacho, the
Yeah.
original Camachos.
Uh-huh.
Nobody really gives a shit about Honduran cigars.
Right.
They've gotten a bad rap. They have the opposite of gouge. They have anti gouge power Honduran
Right.
cigars.
Because
Um,
people don't care.
yeah, yeah. There's nothing sexy about Honduran cigars.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I think they're very important. Um, but I digress on that. But it's just there's no following. You know, that's why I love going to some Honduran cigars because you're like, wow, like there's some gems in there. For example, like Sancho Panza or the
Yeah.
classic Aladino line. I remember when I first tried Aladino, the classic line. I
Hmm.
was like, wow, like I was getting a vibe off it that I didn't get off most cigars, and I really enjoyed that. I went back and smoked the same cigar the next day, and
Right.
so but it's a lot of people don't carry Aladino. Is it around though? Sure, it's still around. but to become classics, in a way, there's almost no room. I've only seen like a very like for example, like Saka with his brand, you got to give it to him. He's made room for his brand that
Mm-hmm.
shops carry Saka, and they're very popular. And I don't see his brand going anywhere but up. And
Mm-hmm.
so Saka has some staying power. The question is which of his blends are. I see the Umbagogs getting more popular, bro. I called that cigar years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
I see in shops even here, bro. They had 10 packs of Umbagog for $80, which is not bad for $8 a stick. Um, at a lounge. So
Right.
Umbagogs are being sold at 10 packs at lounges here. So I think Saka has made a. I don't think Saka will ever be Fuente or Padron or Monte or I'm sorry, like Altaitis or Davidoff. But I think Saka's made his stand that he's a growing company. The question is, what's going to happen as he gets older? Who's going to carry on his company? That because he's a
True.
self-made guy,
Right.
so
Right.
he's not a conglomerate. So who's going to carry on Saka after he's gone? And I wish
He's
him.
he's got
I
to
wish him
train
many.
somebody.
In fact, I saw a picture of him recently. I'm not sure if he's doing
Uh-huh.
Ozempic, but he looks like he lost 100 pounds. He looks good. You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
because he was, you know, you know, at
Good
his
for him,
age
man.
and the way he was drinking,
Mm-hmm.
you got to worry about having a heart attack. When
Sure.
So, anyways, though, but he looks like you almost didn't. Everyone's like didn't recognize him. Like that's Saka. What happened? And so, my opinion, he probably started hitting the Ozempic. Because he doesn't seem to be going to the gym. But whatever, good for him. He needed some help.
Well, I think he was a Marine, right? So he's probably a pretty strong, athletic type of guy at
I
some
never
level,
knew
right?
that. Are you sure about
Wasn't
that?
wasn't he wasn't
No,
he in the
you're talking about Room
army?
101. That's Room 101.
I thought Sokka had been in some sort of military, but I could be wrong.
I never
Uh,
heard that. I know the guy from Room 101 was in the Marines in
yeah, I
peacetime.
need a blend
You know
check
what I'm
on
talking about? The guy
Sokka.
with the crazy hair?
Yeah, yeah,
Web?
Booth. Sure, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so Navy. Uncle Larry says Navy. That's the blend check on Sokka.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
Well, God bless.
yeah, God bless. So look, so my point is just this. After all these cigars that we've smoked, and I've been trying to figure out what makes a good cigar and what is a good cigar, I think what you call wheelhouse is extremely important. And I think certain wheelhouses work better than others. Um, like I think a really classic wheelhouse, my favorite wheelhouse is what you would find like a Cuban Monte Cristo in, like that lighter natural. That's my preference. Or like you would even say maybe the Aladino is in there, but it's not a complete blend. So okay, so let me say this. Let me say this succinctly so I can stop rambling about it. I think you have these genres, these wheelhouses, and within the wheelhouses, you have certain blends which are
Do you think the
able
blends
to.
while they're being made are trying to join the wheelhouse? Or they're like, hey, this works, let's tap into it, or let's um like kind of like when some movies come out, you're like, this movie kind of reminds me of this, and I like that. Or you're like, don't copy it though, but kind of like buddy cop movies. There's been
Right.
plenty of good buddy cop movies, like Lethal Weapon, or even like Die Hard 3.
Rush Hour,
E-
dude. I love
Yeah,
Rush Hour. Yeah.
yeah, but see, that's just showing your age because you're a younger guy. But like in
Yeah.
my era, it was Lethal Weapon and Die Hard. Because Die Hard, even though it's not really known as a buddy cop, but still he had a buddy cop in the movie though, because he was working with Carl Winslow outside the building the whole time he was stuck in the building. But it's not a
Mhm.
true buddy cop movie. Where Lethal Weapon, it was two guys that like one's a family man and one's a washed up veteran that's like still in the war in Vietnam in his mind, and he's like
Mhm.
gone. But by the end of the movie, though, he's having dinner with the family and whatever. Though, so it's kind of like it was a crossroads. But I
Yeah.
digress, though. So I think when they make a blend, they know they're going for a target audience. For example, the opposite, I think General making African cigars or General making Spanish tobacco and soon to making French tobacco,
Yeah.
they're trying to create they're experimenting and they got the
Sure.
money to experiment. You know
That's a
what I'm
good
saying?
point.
No. No.
Yeah. So I think yeah, some people might be trying to develop a genre. I'm not sure actually. I'm not to that point of the theory that I understand exactly how that works, but I think that's a really good question and I don't know yet. And I think diving into that's very interesting. But what I'm trying to say is if you took a snapshot as a consumer, right? Not about somebody who's making cigars, but what are the best cigars? I think the best cigars are the ones that are in one of those genres are the most important. And then they're a complete profile that's really working in that genre. Opus X is a great example. It's
But
in that
when you're a
darker, sweeter
brand, when you
category.
make blends within your brand, do you
Uh,
want your blends to cross, or do you want your blends not to compete with one another? That's like, do you want to cover all the bases? That's the question.
See,
And
I
sometimes
agree with
it's
you. That's
both,
very
sometimes
interesting.
it's
Yeah.
not. So let's take a brand like Macanudo.
Uh-huh.
Macanudo is a smart brand, bro. Nobody shits on Macanudo. It's sold around the world. It's one of the biggest cigar brands in the world. It's one of the biggest brands General has. And I'm telling you, so from the classic white label, the gold, green, white label, great Connecticut. If you just want a great Connecticut, it's actually
Yeah.
enjoyable. But then you have all the Inspirato lines. You got the Grand Cru. You got the 1968. It's a quiet brand that doesn't have any hype, but someone's smoking them because every shop in America and around the world carries Macanudo, and so like it has a staying power that it's almost one of those non-Cuban brands that has almost a Cuban, because it's been around so long. Macanudo,
Right. It
it's
has a
like,
pedigree.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost like saying
Reputation.
Budweiser or Miller. This is brands
Right.
people accept, whether you like
Right.
them or not. They're accepted brands, and there's some respect behind that. Um, I like Macanudo as a brand. I really do, because
So,
they've had a lot of great stuff. Um, but a
so,
lot of their cigars don't copy themselves.
mhm.
And
So
even
what?
when they made the Connecticut Inspirato, it was cheaper than their main
Right. True.
Connecticut, so they
Right.
weren't competing against themselves. Some brands like Foundation, you got like the Olmec and the Tabernacle, and then the other one they made, I forget the name. It's almost like they're cross pollinating. Like they're similar enough that you're like, everything you're making is medium, full, strong, dark cigars that are spicy. Like my father was that same too. A lot of my father brands, the blends, were very similar. So it's like, are you really making another cigar? It's almost like I don't know.
This is a nice profile. I just took the first puff, first impression. Nice profile on the Valle.
It's a
I see what you
classy
mean.
cigar, bro.
It's
It's
lighter,
class.
it's classy. Yeah, flavorful.
It doesn't feel like any other Mexican San Andreas, but it doesn't feel exotic. It's just it's the opposite exotic. They tuned it down, and you're like, you know what? It's almost like if picture of like Davidoff made a Mexican San Andreas. Like, yo, chill out. Let's have. There's a lot of age on that cigar. It's not a cheap blend, but General can really make great cigars at a lower price. But the problem is a lot of times guys buy cigars because of the price. You know,
It's got an interesting funky butteriness to it, which is nice.
it's very smooth. It's very oily.
Yeah,
It's
very
nice.
smooth. It's good. I'm not saying I love it, but I definitely see. I'm not saying I hate it. I don't know it yet, but I can definitely say off the bat, very
It's all I'm
flavorful.
saying is it's
I agree
pleasant.
with what you're
You're
saying.
gonna
Yeah,
enjoy it, you know.
definitely, absolutely. Um,
Especially because you don't get crazy about General cigars.
mhm.
It doesn't. I don't think it's gonna have that dirtiness or grittiness that you perceive. You know what I'm saying? Though I
Yeah,
think
off the bat, I gotta say the way the profile comes across, I liked it at first, and it has that interest of a General cigar. Often a General will have like an interesting blend, sort of interesting top notes, but then that chemical comes in for me. And so far, I was waiting for that chemical. I was concerned about it, but it didn't come in this time. So I find that, and instead, it got creamy and it got smooth. So I like that a lot. So far,
I
very
think
nice.
you like a lot of. In my opinion, sometimes I
Mm,
think you like the newer General stuff because like you like the Bolivar, the newer one, the Cafradia. That's a newer blend. I don't think you
interesting.
like some of the classic, like the Red Dots, or I don't know if you did the Party is Black, but there's some classics that I vibe with that I don't think you like them, and
Well,
maybe it's just the
no,
profile.
I think the opposite. I like the really old General stuff, like the uh, old Sancho Panza is okay, but like I really like the original El Rey del Mundo, which is a really old blend. I
You're
love
going
that
really
cigar.
old, yeah, yeah.
Really old. I like the really old General. I think Cafradia. I thought Cafradia is an older cigar because it's a Stella Padron. Remember,
No, I don't think the Cafradia is that old, bro.
isn't it?
I don't think it's that old.
Interesting. Well, anyway, I like the really old stuff. Has been my experience. But let me I'll come right back to that. I just want to say, um, what you're talking about now all of a sudden is what is the product in the marketplace? What makes sense? What are people going to buy? I think that's fair from a commercial perspective. But I think from a connoisseur perspective and an objective critique perspective, when I'm talking about these genres, I'm looking at what are the complete blends. It could be a $50 cigar or a $5 cigar, but is it really competing in that genre? I think that's interesting. That's what I'm now realizing, and those are, I think, the important cornerstone cigars. That's what I'm
Well, I
pitching.
think things. stay consistent in cigars, but also things could rapidly change. And right now, because most middle class people are hurting financially wise,
Hmm.
you're going to see a lot of people not going as much as the higher end stuff. If you got it like that, fine. But I'm saying people that can normally splurge and justify spending $20, $30 cigars, you're going to start cutting back. People are already cutting back. And so you're going to see, I think, more like there's a new party that's coming out that looks awesome.
Hmm.
Dude, there's some generals making some new mid-tier stuff that looks awesome and crazy blends. And they were like $8 MSRPs in 2025.
So,
And so I think we're gonna see a resurgence of brands coming back to like that solid mid tier because I'm telling you, man, like 2 years ago we reached the decadence when the economy and stock
sure,
market was so high, $100 Rocky Patels, everyone was like, fuck
right.
it. And then all of a sudden it's like $8 a dozen eggs. Oh shit. We better look.
Hmm.
We better start making. What I'm saying. Like, I don't think LFD is gonna do another $200 NFT fucking
Right.
cigar.
But what I'm saying is, if I let's say you said I have $1,000, so I could buy whatever cigar I want. I want to smoke 30 cigars. What I would say is smoke a couple out of each genre, right? And I would think that you would include the VSG, but you'd also include the Opus. You'd include, less expensive and more expensive cigars. Um, I'm just saying from a point of view of what does the landscape look like, right? Not what are you smoking every day, right? I'm not talking about reusability in terms of price or anything like that. I'm just talking about what is so like if you listen to music, right? What is the music that actually exists? You'd listen to something from every genre, right? You'd try to figure out what's going on. It's not necessarily what you're going to use every day, right? You're not going to listen to death metal every day, probably,
Well, and
but
even
you
if
might
you
want to check it
did, you
out.
want to listen to the same band. You might want to branch out and listen to 10 different bands of the same genre because that way at least you get some
Mm,
variety. So I don't think, even if you like strong cigars, I don't recommend smoking the same fucking cigar every day because your palate's going to become numb and
mm,
almost expect the flavor and you're going to almost stop tasting it. It's like saying doing the same exercise. Like it's better to cross train uh,
sure,
to get more out of it. So if you,
sure.
for example, smoke Padron 26 Maduro every day for a week. By the end of the week, you're not going to get the same out of it. It's just like, what I'm saying, you're going to start becoming numb. Whereas if you had some variety, what I'm saying? No, because think of it, when you smoke a cigar, there's the moment before you smoke the cigar, and the moment you light it up, your mind's like, oh, what's this? This is reminding me of this. But if you do the same cigar over and over again, you're going to start not reminded, you're going to start expecting and you're going to get
Hmm.
bored. Does that make any sense? The most
Hmm.
exciting time with the woman is the first time you see her naked because you're like, I don't know what's there. I mean, you know what's there, but you don't know exactly the little details. And then, if you did it for a week straight, the same woman, it's not as exciting on the seventh day. You're still gonna enjoy it, but you understand what I'm saying, though. So
I just looked at the blend on this. It's interesting. It's a Mexican San Andreas wrapper, Cameroon binder, and the filler is Mexican San Andreas and Nicaraguan. No Honduran, no Dominican. Interesting blend. It's so smooth, creamy,
it's
for
smooth,
Nicaraguan.
though,
Interesting.
dude. And that's a prime example of the fillers pushing the wrapper because it's not like a real strong wrapper, and but it works. You know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
though? It works.
yeah. I keep waiting it for it to get kind of weird. It starts kind of interesting with the flavor, but then it gets creamy. It's nice.
Yeah, and also remember you're smoking that after you had the VSG, so
True.
that might also help it or hurt it. I don't know, but it's just
Yeah.
you're not giving it a true clean palate, but still you're enjoying
Yeah.
it though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's
I'm
I
getting good
think
flavor though. I don't feel like my palate's too weirdly, the VSG is so
no,
smooth. It doesn't
VSG
mess
doesn't
with
blow you out. The VSG is
exactly.
not like I wouldn't smoke. Okay, one of the worst cigars to smoke and then smoke something else is Opus X. Like, don't smoke
Mm,
Opus X and go smoke a Padron. That's the
yeah.
dumbest thing you could do. Like, you smoke Opus X, the night's over. Unless if you
Right.
want to smoke another Opus X, but don't. Opus X doesn't mix well with anything else but Opus X.
Yeah.
And I mean the same Opus X. Like, don't go from Opus X and then go have the Dark Lost City or something. It
Right.
doesn't
Right.
make any sense.
For sure. So, in conclusion, I agree with what you're saying about all the usage And then if you're a company, do you contribute to a genre? But I guess, okay, what really
Because then also
set me.
a lot of brands
Mhm,
have range too. So how could you compare to the brand where some brands like Fuente go from fucking curly head to fucking like BBMF? You know what I'm saying? There's so much
sure.
range.
But again, you're talking about company. Let me put it like this. When you said classic, that spoke to me, right? That this VSG's classic, we're sitting there smoking it together, and it's really truly a classic, reusable special cigar and a complete profile.
Yeah.
So I started to think, what does that mean for cigars? Because I think the VSG is one of the best. What does that mean? Why is it the best? And I think the reason is you have those local maxima, you have those pockets of the genres, and in those genres, you have complete profiles. And when you have a complete profile in a genre that's working, those are the cornerstone fundamental classic cigars.
The
That's my
VSG is a
what I would say.
masterpiece. So there are other cigars that could do some similar things, but the VSG just does everything it does perfectly. Now it's not the most exciting
Sure.
cigar. So like there are cigars that are more exciting and maybe godlike, but
Mhm.
it does not as available or the price point or the reusability. This is a lifetime reusable. I can smoke the
Right.
cigar and I validated. I've been smoking it for over a decade. So like, and I'm smoking the biggest, dumbest size, and I'm having a
Right.
4.75 time. Like, I could smoke another one of these, bro. I could smoke over 2 hours, man. I
I
PG this
agree.
cigar. I took my time with the cigar, and I'm gonna get 2.5 hours out of this motherfucker. And
Nice.
so like, and I'm gonna sleep like a fucking baby tonight, man.
Mhm.
Today I was helping out with so it's so crazy. We help clean it. So I thought I was coming to clean up the park, like, because let me give you an example.
Mhm.
The girl that I met there, that's a very big part of the community, and like, anyway, so she told me about so tomorrow, on Wednesdays and Sundays, tomorrow I'm gonna go to the park. I'm gonna bring some like refreshments and help feed the homeless. Give back. Okay, now some of the homeless are actually nice. Some of the homeless are assholes. It's just like people that are not homeless. There are people that appreciate it and people that expect it. So in a way, I'm going for the people that appreciate it. The people that are assholes, like for example, today I was talking to a homeless person in the park, and it was a woman. She was reading a book, and I said, and she was enjoying the sun. I said, "Oh, what are you reading?" She's like, "Oh, I'm reading this book." She's like, "I like this novel. It's more of a mystery." And we talked for 10 minutes about books. And she's like, "I go to the library and they let me rent books." And it was a decent
Nice.
conversation. And I treated
Sure.
her like a human. And,
Sure.
and so it just, in a way, I like helping out. Like, so when I went to this massive park, I was going around picking up little debris. And I'm thinking like, oh, I'm helping because I got there late. So I was helping. I got the little stick they gave me to pick up the stuff. And I'm like, okay, help out the community. But then the woman that came out like an hour later, she's like, oh, did you find the people? I go, no, it's a massive. I mean, the guy that designed Kirby Park, he designed Central Park. So like Kirby Park is old, okay?
Mhm.
It's beautiful. And she goes, no, I'll show you where they're at. We walk like a half a mile and then into the woods and there's these trails. Yesterday, the cops kicked out in a whole encampment, and they came through with fucking bulldozers. And like,
Wow.
bro, and you can't imagine how much debris they had. Like 100 plastic garbage bags full of debris. I was picking up boots. I went there. I'm picking up boots, and like, I didn't touch piss bottles. I'm like, I'm volunteering. I'm like, fuck that. This is not my job. I'm not picking up piss bottles, even with the stick. And so, old blankets and clothes, and it was so much debris. And then one guy said that works for the volunteer company. He's like, "Oh, it's sad that And I said, "Listen, I get that it's sad. At the same time, I go, the mayor has to do what the people want, and the people went for walks. Maybe a woman that goes for a walk doesn't want to be surrounded by like hypodermic needles and people shitting and pissing, and maybe she's scared, scared to walk through this area, and so they have to do what the voters want." And I'm talking about, bro, like I said, the homeless didn't help themselves because they threw all their garbage and plastic in nature. I said, so it's
Mhm.
one thing if you're homeless and it's sad, you want to put a tent somewhere. I can
Right.
almost respect that. But
Yeah.
don't leave filth everywhere because the common people that are paying taxes are going to go, now we got to pay to clean. This is ridiculous. So,
Right.
it was filthy. So now maybe some of them were keeping it decent, but I mean, bro, like it was like when I say it was disgusting, like so like how do you just throw all these garbage just where you are? Like even a cat will go shit somewhere else, and like I'm just saying
You
though. So
you could be impolite at any level of wealth or class, right?
correct.
Yeah,
Correct. Like almost like it's not my problem. Yeah, you can go to a restaurant, just throw your garbage on the ground outside. And, yeah,
right.
dude, like a guy throwing out his McDonald's after he's done out the window, the whole bag, littering. But in this case, when you have people living somewhere for 6 months and you have tons of homeless there and just leaving their filth, they're not doing themselves any good in a sense because they're fitting the narrative. You know what I'm saying though? You know.
Can I speak? I want to say about the
No,
cigar
go
real
ahead. Yeah,
quick.
I'm sorry. I'm going on.
No,
Yeah.
no, no, not at all. Uncle Larry said he wanted to know what I thought about it, so I'm curious if he likes the Valley Verde, if he smoked them. But I want to say about the Valley Verde, I'm getting a little bit of an edge. Like what's interesting about the VSG, I never felt it, right? It's so smooth. I never felt it on the nicotine level or anything like that. There's something to this. Maybe it's the Nicaraguan feels a little stronger, even though it's a not as dark or powerful of a cigar. I'm feeling a little more of the chemical aspect of it, not tasting chemical, but feeling the chemical. So that's one thing. Another thing is there's sort of a kind of a funky vegetal note going on. It's not it's not bad, but it's not smoking it next to the VSG. You can see it's not at the same level, by any means. I think for a mid-tier cigar, at a good price, I think it's an enjoyable cigar, but it's definitely not like I was saying, complete profile or classic,
Yeah, you can't
right?
compare it to the VSG, bro.
Hmm.
There's a lot of luxury cigars you can't compare it to VSG. So like
Yeah.
the VSG is a perfect cigar. What I mean is, it does everything. There are other cigars that do stuff better and more exciting, but
That's what
the
I mean,
the
Richie. The
VSG it just
It's
it's a
perfect. Yeah,
it's a
sorry.
masterpiece. It's
Yeah.
a masterpiece.
It's
You know.
perfect and it's within that genre. And I think because it's holding that genre and it's perfect, I think that makes it classic. If you took a snapshot, it's not about what came out first, what came out last. That makes it that, you know, that gives it that level.
Yeah, I don't think there's another cigar that does what VSG does at the price point that is better than the VSG in that category.
Yeah.
Then you could say, well, there are other cigars that are stronger. You sure, but that's not the same cigar. I'm talking about what other cigars that gives you like VSG vibes that's equally as good or better for the same amount of money.
I think so before they raised the prices on Cuban cigars, apparently the Bolivar Royal Corona was around the same price as the VSG, similar size.
Mm.
That is similar in the darkness, in the profile, and it is a better cigar than the VSG. That's true, but you got to go to Cuban to do that. In terms of non-Cuban, I think VSG is the best one that I've smoked in that range. That's no knock on it. It's a tremendous cigar.
Well, I mean, yeah, and then you factor with the price point in 2025, bro. I mean,
Sure.
dude, for $20 to smoke the biggest version and it's available, tomorrow I can go smoke one for $15, regular size. Or how do you beat that? I mean, you're talking about luxury. It's a luxury cigar, man.
Look
It's
at the burn on this. It's been totally straight and razor sharp the whole way. Look at that. Hold
no,
me.
the Valley Verde was
Yeah.
impressive. I think I smoked about maybe five of them, and I had a
Hmm.
great time. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. What do you get off the Valley Verde?
I'd have to
Just
go
off the
back to
top.
smoke it again because
Yeah,
it's
fair enough.
it's been enough time.
Hmm.
I could tell you more of the vibe,
Hmm.
but I remember being creamy, but
Yeah.
and oily, but and not
Yeah.
exactly spicy at all, but a
Right.
little spicy. But I remember almost like nuggety, almost like that kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It has a nice texture to it. I like the smoke.
Hmm.
The draw was always very good. But to review it or talk about the highlights, I haven't smoked it enough, like the VSG, where I could talk about it like the back of my
Sure.
hand.
Right.
I could say I've only probably smoked maybe like 5 times, and that's over like the past 2 years, which is not that much. And
Right.
I went back to it, but I need to go back to it as a revisit, um, because but I want to smoke those the new Partagas coming out, man. There was some old Partagas you never had. The Ramon, you ever have a Ramon?
No, unfortunately, I wasn't able to find that one.
You would have fucking loved it. It was a lighter shade, but like a zesty. like almost like a light sun grown. And bro, you would have loved that cigar. It had such nice like orange citrus and lemon
Yeah.
citrus on that with like a funky sourdough, like pungent.
Mhm.
Bro, that thing with the Ramon, and I used to get it even in a 6x60, and I would fuck with that cigar. I would fuck Ramon, and Ramon was such a fucking great. When I was driving trucks, it was available, and then I don't know if they stopped making it. It was gone. So
Mm.
for a few years, I smoked that shit, and I haven't seen it, man. At all.
I'll tell you a good example of a general cigar I really like is the Partagas Yellow, right? The classic.
I just smoked one in the tube. It was great. It was
They're
great.
phenomenal. It's a phenomenal cigar. But that's a really old general cigar, right? That's one of the first ones.
That's the first one by the Cifuentes family.
Exactly. So there you go. I think their really old stuff is phenomenal. I think a lot of their newer stuff isn't for me. But this is pretty good. I don't think I would smoke it because I think I'm really gonna cut back down on my cigar smoking. So I think condensing just to what I really want to smoke. I think I really want to smoke stuff that's like I said, if I was coming back to a cigar, something that's classic in a wheelhouse, right? Perfect in a wheelhouse. I think is interesting for me because then you can say, oh, I'm really in the mood for darker, whatever. I'm going VSG. Okay, I want something lighter. Go to Davidoff Anniversario. I want something medium. I like the Aladino Corojo. I wish there was a better example, but like Herrera Esteli, I think that's a good example. Something I'd come back to. Complete.
You know what Fuente doesn't do really
Hmm.
is like higher end light shade cigars.
Yeah, I agree.
Like obviously, if you want, you have the ESG, but that's not technically
Hmm.
Fuente. It is, but you know what I'm saying though. I'm talking about under Fuente. The only lighter shade, a higher end, would be the 20th Opus X.
What about what about? I haven't smoked either of them, but I have both of them to smoke. I haven't smoked them yet. The Puro Soul and the Cabinet. How do you feel with those?
I haven't smoked in a while, but I remember enjoying them,
Hmm.
and I almost get them confused. One is like the Puro Soul is isn't that the Habano, and then the like a
Yeah,
Habano sun grown,
right,
and then the other one, the Cabinet, is just like a stronger Connecticut,
right,
right? Or I
right.
get them
Yeah,
confused.
exactly. That's correct. That's correct.
But I remember enjoying them though,
Hmm.
and I would like to go back to them. They might have them there. I might
Hmm.
because the regular classic Ashton, the white label, I really don't fuck with.
Yeah,
It's almost boring. That's an old blend,
yeah.
and that's not a strong cigar at all. And it almost feels like it has like I, at that price point, like for that kind of light shade Connecticut,
Hmm.
or like basic. That's a basic bitch Connecticut. There's other cigars I'd rather have
Yeah, yeah.
because it's not cheap, you know. Um, but then you go to the Ashton Maduro, and I'll tell you what, if you like the Hemingway Maduro and you can't find it,
Right.
go get an Ashton Maduro. You'll find that because I think it's the same wrapper.
Richie, I'm so happy today, man. I'm so happy because after after 4 years trying to figure this out, I think it's starting to come clear to me what's really important, at least the way that I see cigars. And I think it's about that smoothness, that richness, the completeness in the profile. Um, and then I think you have different examples of that, but I think that's the point, right? When you smoke a good Cuban, it's so smooth. When you smoke a good Davidoff white label, it's full, it's rich, it's creamy. I think that's at least what I look for in a cigar. I'm finally realizing that. I think you know what, credit where credit is due. I think Padron has an aspect of that too, right? It's a very rich, lush profile. Um, that's cool, man. That's
If
cool.
I lose you, bro, because the volume's going down, that means my
Hmm,
battery's about to die, bro. Like, um,
okay.
I have it plugged in, but when I'm on the live, we're going over 2.5 hours. I
Yeah.
lose the battery, and I have another charger in my house. I think I need to bring in that will charge. This charger, I think, it just doesn't charge as fast, you know. Um,
No problem. Well, let
so
me say, oh, go ahead.
go ahead, because say something. I can't hear you. My phone's gonna die. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say VSG, that's at least an 8. I have to really think about what the score on that was, but it's at least an 8 on that VSG, that
You said
specific
it's
one.
8.
At
I have
least.
to go like this because I can't hear it. So
At least an 8. At least an 8. 8
yeah, for
8 or
me,
more.
it's a 4.75.
Yeah.
But the biggest factor is it's lifetime. There's very few cigars I could say lifetime box worthy
Yeah,
forever, and really in any size. Fucking banger. Available. At this point, they're affordable. They're cheaper than Rocky Patel. It's cheaper. So
agreed. Well, I just want to, I don't know if you can hear me. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the live. Thanks for
hear you,
hanging
man.
out.
No, bro, it was a great
Yeah.
time, man, and I'm glad. I'm glad. Listen, I'll save the news for another time because I know the news distracts you. But it was good to really just get in depth, and it felt like
Yeah.
we didn't even scratch the surface, even though we had 2.5
I
hours.
know. For
But
real.
I think the VSG. I told you, you could have two, even if you had two enemies. Any
Mm-hmm.
VSG, you're gonna have a great like in depth time.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yeah. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah, I agree. Fantastic. All right. Well, that's it. We'll be cutting out. I think it's just me and you, Uncle Larry. Cheers to you, man. Cheers for hanging out. I appreciate it. We have one audience member that was nice. VSG Incredible Cigar. Like I said, wheelhouse, classic in a wheelhouse. I think that's the important part of cigars. That's what I've learned after 4 years. That's my takeaway. I'm sure nobody will ever watch this, but all the better. I mean, you know, whatever. That's for us, dude. So, yeah, have a good night, and I'll see you later. Cheers to Richie. Cheers to everybody, and peace. I'll end it here. Bye.